I've thought of a way to make this very simple so you will understand. Would you please give me a spotlight? Do you get what I'm saying now? This is not about you. This is about me being in the spotlight where I deserve to be.
Hello, welcome everyone to the Spotlight here on Fightful.com. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined as always by the great Stephen Jensen. Shout out, as always, to Big Dick Dave Batista for our intro. Personalized intro by Big Dick Dave. Jensen, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you for everyone who's joining us a little bit early today. Apologize for the start time. I got a little bit of overtime at the shoe job today, so we are doing an hour earlier. If you're coming in at the normal time, you might be a little bit late to the show. You can always go back and watch this on demand. But those of us, for those of you that are joining us today, we do appreciate y'all for the early start time. And yeah, we had a lot to talk about, man, including, I mean, you had some big news yesterday. I mean, we can get that taken care of right off the top if you'd like.
Well, I mean, JJ left us a super chat. Guys, leave your super chats, leave your humper chats. Get your question, comment, statement right on air. Help support everything we do here at Fightful. And JJ did leave a super chat. Says, "Hello to my favorite big star and king of the Indies watcher. Only one spotlight to shine this week, and that is Jeremy getting merch on the AEW shop." I'll tell the story quickly because we do have a lot to talk about, and we got a great interview with Titus Alexander airing at the end of the show as well. So like very quickly. People know about the Danielson meme, I guess. It was almost a year ago. I think the Tree Seaman headline was a year ago. It was like September 18th or 19th, I think. So we're coming up on the year anniversary of that headline. And that thumbnail, just great. So I used it for that. And then I just started to use it for other like outrageous things Bryan Danielson would say because it popped me. Like that's all it really was. It just popped me, and then people started to take notice of like, oh, here's this thumbnail with these crazy headlines, and people like they always use this thumbnail. And so like earlier this month, I tweeted. It was after the flaccid penis headline, and people were popping over that, and I was just like, just put this image on a t-shirt and make money. And a couple of weeks ago, the official AEW account DMs me, and they're like, where is this like thumbnail from? Like what episode of Rampage is this from?
Wait, this
is
like, real? They DM'd you about this? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, they DM'd me. So I knew this shirt was coming. I legit and Sean told me about it as well. So I actually knew the shirt was coming. I didn't want to tell anybody because I was like, plans change in wrestling.
Sure.
But they DM'd me and they're like, yeah, where's this thumbnail from? I was like, oh, it's from this episode. And they were like, thanks. And so yeah, when I saw it, I had an inkling it was coming. I didn't know when. Obviously now it's out there, so it's cool. It's a nice little pop. I'd like a free one. Everybody keeps saying I should get royalties. I mean, look, if you want to send me royalties, great. It seems like it's going to sell well. I hope it sells really well, honestly, because it pops me. But the fact that I don't want to take full credit, but I will take a good chunk of credit. The fact that this whole thing became as big as it was, and now it's like a t-shirt, kind of crazy and kind of shows just how stupid pro wrestling is. It's the greatest sport in the world. It's so stupid. Dude,
that's incredible. I had no idea that they reached out to you about that. And that's awesome. That's funny that you were able to get a shirt on AEW shop before we could get a spotlight shirt on Fightful. If y'all want those, let us know though, because I'd love for y'all to get some spotlight shirts. I'd love to have a spotlight shirt that I could wear.
Vouch for the spotlight shirt. I'll make sure we get a spotlight shirt. I'll get the spotlight shirt on AEW shop. Well, fuck the Fightful shop.
With the Danielson face.
Yeah, with the Danielson face.
Just the spotlight over his face.
That would be great.
That's awesome though, man. I'm glad I'm marked out huge to see that announcement yesterday. So dude, that was job well done, sir. Congratulations.
Just I don't want royalties. If you want to send the royalties to the fiance, go for it. If you do want to send me royalties, go for it. Just send me an autographed shirt. Send me a shirt autographed by Danielson. That's all I want. Okay. Just, if he wants to personalize it with something about Tree Seaman, that'd be great too. But just want an autograph shirt from the GOAT, Bryan Danielson. That's it. I'm not asking for much. I don't feel like I'm asking for much.
That's a very fair ask. Very fair ask.
Yeah. All right. Let's Jensen. This is a big weekend. This is a monster weekend in the world of professional wrestling. Like we got 3 big shows. We got Clash at the Castle, All Out, Worlds Collide. Like 3 big shows. We got the Indies. We got other stuff to talk about. Let's jump right into it. And we're gonna start with WWE.
You want to be a professional wrestler, or do you want to be a WWE superstar? You know, WWE superstar sounds a whole lot better to me than being a professional wrestler.
Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre headlining WWE Clash at the Castle this Saturday. Roman's been the Universal Champion for 2 years now. He's been the undisputed Universal Champion since WrestleMania. It's never felt like his reign has been in threat for the majority of it. There were moments I bought like Kevin Owens might win, like during the match, because Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns are just great. But like the build up, you knew like they probably weren't going to end this thing, and that was early in the run of Reigns. But it's just like, yeah, Kevin Owens isn't beating Roman Reigns. And then even with Brock, Cena, Danielson, Edge, I never felt like, yeah, these are the guys that are going to beat Roman. The build up the match, nothing. Drew McIntyre, they've done a hell of a job building this man to make it feel like he is going to get his moment in Cardiff. The training videos, the montages they put together, the video packages they put together, it's a big stadium show. His first win came in front of literally nobody. His second win came in front of a bunch of LED screens. This feels like it could be Drew McIntyre's moment. And I commend WWE on the job they have done in building this and making me feel like, oh shit, Roman could actually lose this thing. I don't think he will, but this build has been great, and I'm pumped. I'm really pumped for this match. Jensen, do you think this is the end of Roman's reign?
Dude, that's a great question, because if you would ask me this, even just like within the last couple of weeks, I would have still stuck with Roman, but like now I'm getting more and more closer to going with Drew potentially. I mean, it's in the UK. I saw the Broken Dreams video he put up yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, that's big. I mean, there's been a lot of demand for him to bring back that theme song, and like, so like he's listening, the company's listening. And maybe this is a big thing for, Triple H, the new regime too. It's like he might be their guy. You know what I mean? And Roman is as well, but it's like maybe in this new era of WWE, there's more than one star of the show, and I mean, if it's going to be anybody, here's the thing. Personally, I think it should be Cody beating Roman. I just think the story is just like better if he beats Roman and Roman hasn't lost the title and like it happens at WrestleMania and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also fine, honestly, with the idea of like if Drew's gonna beat him, if it's gonna be Drew, like this is the time and the place. I mean, in front of his own fans, and like they're gonna be, that place holds like, doesn't it hold like 50,000 people or something? It's like a huge like a stadium they're doing over there.
Yeah.
Like 50 or 60,000, I think. So I mean, and like you just said, man, if for no other reason, here's the thing. All right, once again, personally, I would prefer if Roman retained and didn't lose until WrestleMania, preferably against Cody. That's my top scenario. But like you said, when Drew beat Brock Lesnar for that title at WrestleMania and there wasn't fans, and he had to go through like a whole year of being the champion and no fans, and then like the fans finally come back and Lashley's the champ at that point, and like it feels like it would be a very nice thing for the WWE to do, to give Drew this title and to have him do it in front of his own crowd in the United Kingdom at like this big show and stuff. So that said, my prediction is still Roman. I'm still leaning a little bit towards Roman holding on to it, but like you said, they've done a great job of making me actually think that there's a really good chance that Drew can win.
I still think Cody should be the guy as well. It seemed like that's where they were going with the story. I don't know what they have in store for WrestleMania. If they can get The Rock, they're probably going to do The Rock. I mean, there's no problem. If they can get The Rock, they're fucking doing The Rock. They're going to be like, yeah, Rock, you can do it, but we're actually just going to go with Cody. The Rock's not going to beat Roman, though. That can be a non-title thing.
And they have the 2 nights of Mania too. They could do, you know what I mean? They could do Rock and Roman, and Roman could still defend on the other show.
Yeah, it could be that. I don't know if Roman's gonna wrestle twice on that show or anything like that, but I think Cody should be the guy to dethrone Roman. That said, I'm not gonna be mad if it's Drew McIntyre, and I would not have said this like a month ago because I've never been like the biggest Drew McIntyre fan. Like, he's fine. I didn't find like his stuff during the pandemic era. Like, I didn't find that like great or anything. And it's probably because I've had to listen to 3 million Drew McIntyre interviews over the past 2 years, and I've just heard him tell the same stories a million times. Kai has it to kind of where I'm leaning as well. Heavily scripted Drew is boring. This organic feeling Drew is amazing. Like, that's 100%. And like, I know he was saying like during the pandemic era, like, oh, I'm just out there being myself and everything. And, you know, I'm just allowed to be me and it's great. It's like, yeah, but you also feel like it does come off a little too, came off a little too sports entertainer for me. And Drew can't like pull that off like a Seth Rollins. Like, Seth Rollins is like obviously scripted and everything. And this is pre what we're seeing from Seth Rollins now. But Seth Rollins can just pull this shit off because he's a character like that. Drew couldn't really do that as well as somebody like Rollins, especially when he's like trying to be serious, but then he's like cats and kittens and everything. I didn't like that. I didn't like that Drew stuff. This Drew is amazing though. Like, they've been telling a great story with this. I'm not going to be mad if Drew wins. I think they're going to get me on a lot of false finishes here. I'm excited for this match. This is the first Roman match I can remember in a while where I'm like, I'm pumped. He could actually lose this thing. Like, during when the actual match happens, Roman is so good that I'll buy some of these false finishes. And he's been facing a lot of really good wrestlers as well. Yeah, this is like the first time that I've felt leading up to the match, and Roman could lose this thing. I would still go with Roman. I would make Cody the guy there and then go from there. But I'm not going to be mad if Drew wins. And it'd be a great moment for him, especially after everything he did during the pandemic era. It'd be a great moment if Drew does get this title win in front of the stadium.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying. And I, during the pandemic, like you said, I didn't think, I mean, that whole era of WWE programming was just everyone was in a bad situation with the no fans and the whole thing, right? But like, Drew worked his ass off. I'll give him all the credit in the world. Like, he was having matches where he was working really damn hard in front of no fans, like trying to make the company look credible and the championship look credible and his title reign look credible and try to carry that momentum after beating Brock. Because that was the big thing. That was a big moment for him to beat Brock Lesnar. And it's just like, it just gets like super overshadowed by the pandemic. I mean, obviously, but it's just one of those things where the timing for McIntyre was just so unfortunate for him. But I'm with you guys.
He reached out to the fans.
That's right.
After he beat Brock. Giant fucking hand. He just reached out, tried to touch the fans. Yeah, it wasn't good.
But organic Drew, like, this is not just with Drew. This is going to be an overall theme, I think, in the WWE. We're about to talk about it with our other spotlight as well. But like, this is a good sign when you see people like McIntyre having these kind of slight character shifts recently, where you can just tell that they're being a lot more authentic right now than they were before. And I think that's going to be kind of across the board with like all of the WWE right now, which is exciting.
Yeah. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this match. It's been a while since I've been excited for really just a WWE event in general. SummerSlam was a little bit different because like it was the first show under Triple H. So it's like, okay, what's gonna happen here? There was that intrigue. This is a show that I'm excited for. Not so much of like, hey, what's gonna happen, because there could be surprises and stuff. Oh, let's see how this new regime goes. Like, they've actually built this show really well for the most part. There's still some misses in there, but for the most part, this show has been very well built. I think Roman is doing great work. Sammy and the Usos are doing great work. Kevin Owens on Monday, that was a tremendous segment. Sammy's been one of my favorite performers on WWE television over the past few weeks. Like, I know he's been aligned with the Usos more than a few weeks, but like these past few weeks, he's taken it to a whole different level with everything. I think he's been great. And Drew, man, whether it's on television or on social media with the stuff he's posted. He's been great as well. He's going to get a big reaction. I do think Roman is going to get a big reaction too, though. Like the UK crowd, I think is just going to be excited for this match and excited to see the two top guys really in the company at this point. I think they're just going to be excited for it. Drew will be the babyface, but I don't think Roman is going to get like booed out of the building or anything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm interested to hear the crowd's reaction to Roman, because he's so cool at this point and so likable as the champion. But like we all are kind of fiending to see him lose the title now too. With it being 2 years, like where's this going? Who's gonna get this big rub? Yeah, man, it's good. I'm glad that they've elevated Drew, re-elevated him. He's ever since winning the title, he's been in that upper echelon ever since, like world champion to contender. But for a minute there, he was kind of having to deal with some kind of like mid-card stuff, upper mid-card stuff for a minute. Now it looks like they're like full on, on the gas pedal with him again. I wonder if, like, once again, personally, I'd keep the titles together, but at a certain point, it's like if they're going to keep the brand split going, they're probably going to have to re-split that unified title at some point. I guess my point of even going there is like if they had the two titles, it would be a slam dunk for Drew to be one of those champions right now, and you wouldn't have to end Roman's title run. But they've booked themselves into this position now where Roman has both the titles, and now it'd be really weird if he had like a title match where like you only won the WWE title or only the Universal Championship, but he's still the other champion. That kind of weakens when he loses the other title, in my opinion. So they have a lot of decisions to make when it comes to Roman and his championships right now. But like you've said, this is the best job I think they could have possibly done building Drew into this match. Where it is, when it is, against who it is for this championship. I think it's like, the build has been really good. And like I said, the videos that Drew's been posting on Twitter have actually like really helped my hype level, seeing him posting some of this stuff. So yeah, good for him. If he wins the title, I'll be very, very happy for Drew McIntyre. But once again, like me and you were both saying, I think the smartest move overall is if he retains here and Cody eventually beats him for the title, probably WrestleMania. But
I don't want any wacky shit either. Don't give me Karrion Kross and his TikTok nonsense. I assume the Usos will play some type of part in it. I assume Sammy might play some type of part. Like, that's fine, but I don't need Drew losing because he's distracted because TikTok hits and then he gets hit with a spear or Superman punch. I don't need any of that shit. Just do a clean match. Again, if the Usos interfere, then Drew like takes them out middle of the match and then they keep going, like, cool. That's fine with me. Don't give me where it leads into any type of finish. Just let these guys go out there and just have a great match.
Yeah. You confused me for like half a second there when you said this TikTok bullshit. And I was like, what? Like Karrion Kross is doing like little 6-second dance videos.
Oh yeah.
Now?
Gonna see all these cool. I can't.
The screen's too small for me to dab.
I'm so fucking white. Do the Sami Zayn dance. Like, great. Yeah.
Hey, explain to me.
Hit him with that. Hit him with that. Oos. Hit him with that.
Explain to me really, really quickly in like 10 seconds, because I missed so much WWE programming this year. What's like, how is Sami Zayn linked at all to the Bloodline? Like, why is he so desperate to get into the Bloodline?
That's the Bloodline. Why wouldn't you want to be?
But he's not like in their family.
So?
Oh, he just likes them. Okay.
Yeah, he
feels protected by those guys. He thinks
they're cool. Like,
okay,
he thinks they're cool. That's really what
I just never understood. Like, I thought that maybe there was like some big story that I just like totally missed out on. That like he thought maybe like it was a remember Surf Ninjas back in the day? Rob Schneider's character, who also was a redhead, kind of coincidence. But Rob Schneider like thought he was like the king the whole time or whatever, the prince, when like because he wasn't a part of like the family that had to do with like the actual story at all. He was like the friend of the family. And that kind of feels like what Sami Zayn's trying to do when I think about it now is like he's trying to get in the Bloodline, but like he isn't a part of the Bloodline.
He's an honorary Oos.
Honorary.
Come on now. Honorary. Dude, Sammy's been killing this shit. I love watching him just try to get, and I don't even know he's trying. It just happens. Trying to get the Usos and Roman to break Like he has been killing it. Bless Sami Zayn.
No, he's great, man. I just didn't know if I missed something that like explained like maybe some sort of delusion of him thinking he was in Anoa'i or something like that. Like
they're the top group out there. So like why wouldn't you want to be involved with them? So
sure.
Bless them.
Because everyone else in the group is from that family. Well, I guess Heyman's their council, I guess it's a little different. Anyways, yeah. I just wanted to bring that up real quick because I wasn't sure what I had missed there. But Sami Zayn is fantastic. Always has been. So,
Jensen, your spotlight this week is Matt Riddle, who's Matt Riddle again, and Seth Rollins paying homage to Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones. We're both big UFC fans. I've been saying this for years. Like I have been saying this for years that the split screen thing, they need to do the "Hey pussy, are you still there?" It's like somebody just do this because it's one of the best segments ever. Like building to a fight, the segment between Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier happened in 2015, by the way. So a long time ago, this happened. I've been wanting it for years. Somebody just needed to copy it. You should have seen my reaction on Monday. I actually tweeted like during the original segment. I was like, this segment isn't real until we get "Hey pussy, are you still there?" Like it's just not. Like no split screen segment is good until we get that. And then so they go to commercial and everything. And then they come back and Jimmy Smith is like, we got hot mic footage. And the fiance is talking to me. I'm like, baby, shh, shh, shh. Like I could tell where they were going when Jimmy Smith says we got hot mic footage. Like they're going to do it. They're really going to do it. And then they go to it and Rollins is like, "Hey Riddle, you still there?" And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm still here." Like they can't say pussy. It's PG, right? Or PG. Like I get it. So, and then like he just says, "Let's talk about your family. Your wife is divorced. Your kids don't want to see your bitch ass." And then, dude, I lost it there. Rollins was so good. Riddle firing up. I can't believe it's taken this long for somebody to just play off of that footage between Jones and Cormier. I'm so glad they did it. I was marking out for this. I'm not going to lie. And I've been a big fan of this feud and the different stuff that they've done. This is another match that I'm super excited about on Saturday.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, me too, man. I obviously, as a big MMA fan myself, I immediately recognized what they were going for. And I thought it came off as really good, especially because there's so many WWE fans that don't know about that original Cormier and Jones interview we're talking about. So like to them, this is like all brand new. So it probably came across even more like realistic, which I think could be good. Because this also was like it was also like a fallout from what they had posted earlier, where they like leaked footage through like fan tweets about Riddle and Rollins like fighting in the parking lot before the show and stuff like that. So, which I like that a lot too. I mean, it's like I get that it's scripted. I get like obviously, but like I like that they're trying to blur the line more, especially in the WWE. They needed a little bit more of like an edgy kind of feel, and it feels like they are heading that direction at least a little bit, which I really think is a good sign for them. This split screen segment was great. And then like even like Riddle's dropping F-bombs and stuff, but they were bleeping it, of course. But they made it seem like he was like naturally reacting to what Seth was saying. Like Seth was cutting at the throat and Riddle was like couldn't believe what he was hearing. So I thought this was done really, really well. And once again, as a big fan of the original with Jones and Cormier and their whole lore and history, and then it's also just kind of perfect how it's like, Riddle's involved in this with his UFC past, and like Jimmy Smith being like the moderator and like him and his MMA commentary history, and it all just kind of made sense. And Rollins, I think Rollins is such a strange case because once again, considering I pretty much have only watched WWE premium live events for like the last year or so, I've only seen him lose like for like a year. Like I haven't seen him win in so long, but it just like doesn't matter because he's so entertaining. Like every time I actually do pay attention to what he's doing, whether it's like the flashy suits or I think like the kind of like laughing, like the Joker gimmick's annoying, But when he's being like this kind of annoying, where he's just like going right at Riddle and like making it personal and being so arrogant. And another thing I loved about this interview was when Riddle's like, "Where are you? Like, where are you?" You know, Rollins' response was like, "I'm right here, bitch. I'm right here, bitch." And then just like, where is that? You know, just like, "Right here, bitch. Come find me." You know, it's just like, dude, that's such a pussy move. Like, to call someone out, they say, "Where are you?" And you're like, "I'm right here. Come find me." But they won't tell you where they are. Like, I thought that was really well done. Seth, I think Seth's really finding his like real niche, like as this character that he is right now. Like, I think that it was kind of all over the place before with the suits and the new theme music and the Joker and like the losing, but in the Cody stuff and now it feels like he's really like locked in what this character should be to me. And honestly, I think that Riddle should win this match because I think it's a bad look for Riddle as a babyface, like to have someone say all this about you, then you still lose. But and Rollins can obviously afford to lose because he's lost so much, but he does need to get some big wins again because I Rollins with this character and with his background and being a former champion and his talent and his veteran status, like he should be on the same level as like Roman and Drew and Cody and those guys. So like he does need some big wins. But I'm excited about this one. This is another one at Clash of the Castle that I'm like, I'm really excited for this match happening.
I think Rollins has been the best overall performer in WWE this year. Even like, I understand the we might not be able to get into the early stuff and the character has been all over the place. The losing, yes, not great, but just the way he sold a lot of these matches, like the actual matches, the Roman match was great until that finish. All three of the Cody matches,
we like grabbed the rope or whatever, right? And like
it was a DQ.
Right. Yeah.
Roman just beat the shit out of him with the chair. All three of the Cody matches were great. Yes, he should win a little bit more, but like as a television character, as a wrestler, his performances have been fantastic. And Rollins, like I said earlier, he's a guy that can pull off the WWE character work stuff because he's that good of just a performer. But now that he has a little bit more free reign with everything as well, you're really seeing him shine with this kind of stuff. So I think Seth Rollins has been amazing this year. And I was not fully sold on this stuff. I will give Phil Lindsay a shout out from Grapsody because he's been in on Rollins like the entire time as far as how good he's been. And I'll give the fiance a shout out because she has been right there of like, Seth is the best. Seth is the best. She just literally messaged me, Seth is always right. So yeah, she's always been a big fan of Rollins and like he's doing some great work this year. I think Rollins will actually win. He won it by DQ. Like no one,
right.
I get that, but no one's thinking like, oh yeah, Rollins won that match. I think Rollins is going to win on Saturday because I don't know if this is going to be the end of this. I feel like they might do one more. Extreme Rules is the next pay-per-view. Makes sense for these two to fight in some type of like stipulation match. And I've seen people mention that the Fight Pit might be a thing.
That'd be great.
Can see that coming to the main roster. So I think they might have another match at Extreme Rules. In that case, I would have Rollins win here. Do some underhand tactic stuff. Like I'm cool with that. He's a heel. So I think Rollins is actually going to win on Saturday. And I would have Rollins win on Saturday, especially if they're going to do another match, even if they're not. I think Rollins just kind of he doesn't necessarily need it because he's so good he can afford some losses. I think he's just kind of earned it with how good he's actually been in these segments. And that's why I would give it to Rollins. And people are saying like, oh, it's fake. It's scripted. Like Riddle approved the divorce shots and the kid shot. Like, yeah, no shit. Like Rollins ain't going to go out there and go into business for himself or anything. But one, he still has to deliver the line. And Rollins delivered it with such conviction that you believed it and that it was like, it came across really well. And you're right about like Riddle's reaction to it. Like he played that off really well. We know there has been real life heat between these two. Like Rollins said a few years ago, like he didn't want to work with Riddle because of the shots his wife was ex-wife now, I guess, was taking at Becky and everything. They squashed it. Good on them. They're doing business together. And like, okay, it's scripted, it's approved, but like they're still going out there delivering these lines and they're still like willing to go that far with some of these lines. Everything MJF says is scripted, but I guess not one of the promos, but he's still got to go out there and do it. So I don't care if it's scripted. Television, movies are scripted and they take these shots. It's still great. It's still compelling. It's still good shit, pal. And I thought this was good shit, pal.
Yeah, totally agree. Should be great. And speaking of Phil Lindsay, that shout out, I met Phil at Terminus. Him and Will were both there at Terminus 1. This was already a while back now, I guess. But Phil told me, he was like, man, I really respect you for like always having like Cody's back online, because like that was when Cody was like getting a lot of heat, especially around then. And he's like, yeah, man. I'm like, it's the same with me and Rollins. He's like, no matter what, like I'm like I stick by Rollins, and people come at me, and like, it's cool to see people that like stick by, the people they're a fan of. And I was like, that's cool, man. It's cool that you, I thought it was cool that he noticed that. I was like, yeah, man, I've got his back. Like, unless I'll support people I'll support people I'm fans of until they give me like a real big reason not to, you know what I mean? And like, for him, it's Rollins. For me, it's Cody. Everyone's kind of got their people that they're, big fans of. So, it's cool to see Phil like always have Rollins back, and now Rollins is like really thriving, and now it's going to be funny watching all these people turn, because all these people are going to become Rollins fans that weren't before, and he's going to be there just like with me and Cody, all these people hating on him, and now everyone loves him again, and it's like I never stopped, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's dope.
Phil is the best. Everyone check out Grapsody Saturdays at noon. I don't know what their schedule is this week, because I know at least Will and Phil are in Chicago for All Out, but I assume they have something. I actually know something they have. I will not spoil it because I don't want to get Will Washington yelling at me anymore, but I do know they have something planned that people will enjoy.
Well, they announced one thing, didn't they already?
What did they announce?
The guest? Is that what you're talking about?
I assume
I think they've announced that. Okay. Well, I don't want to ruin it if it hasn't been announced if it got leaked, but I think I know who they got a guest coming on the show. That's what you're getting at, right?
Yes, they do have a guest coming on the show.
Nationally televised guest.
Yeah. Oh, if they've announced it, then we can say it.
I think they've announced it. I don't know. Now because I can't remember if someone told me this or if I saw it on Twitter. So I don't remember.
I'm gonna go to the Grapsody Twitter, and that way. Okay, so JJ says Friday is Grapsody, so there you go. Yeah, because the UK show, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, hey, Saturday morning you can watch me, Doug, and Rob on the Fightful gaming channel at 11 a.m. Bro, we'll be the new lead-in to Grapsody, like an hour. We're starting an hour before them, and then ending right as that show ends. But this weekend will be a little different because we'll be at 11 and they'll be on Friday. But
okay, so they have announced this.
Okay,
it is Swerve. Yeah, Swerve is on the show as an interview. I saw it in the StreamYard, and I didn't know if I see it in the StreamYard, so that obviously gives me access to know like what's happening there. So yeah, I didn't know if that was actually announced though. So yeah, Swerve's on the show. I didn't want to spoil it. I spoiled that one last time when I wasn't supposed to say anything. So I didn't need Will coming on here and be like, well, thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for once again Swerve coming out here.
Yes. So yeah, that's badass. That's great. They're getting Swerve on that show. Awesome.
Yes. Swerve's going to be in action AEW. Let's move on to AEW. Well, Cody, we will get to. Let's do it real quickly. Let's top 3 matches you're looking forward to this weekend from Cody. Mine are Rollins, Riddle, Danielson, Jericho, just because I really like Bryan Danielson. And I want to see how Garcia factors in on that as well. And the trios match are probably my 3. And there's some good stuff on Worlds Collide as well. I'm just not as invested in that because I assume the trios match is going to be Elite versus Dark Order. So I'm really looking forward to see how that plays out. Those are my 3.
I'm trying to pull up the World Collide show real quick. You know what? I'll go with if I only had to pick 3, I'll say I'm with you with Danielson Jericho for like Jericho's the GOAT for me. Danielson's the GOAT for you. Like that's a big match. And we haven't seen it in a long time. So I'll go with that as one. I'll go with Drew and Roman And the other one, a sleeper, I'll go Gunther and Sheamus for the Intercontinental.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, in the UK. That'll be bang.
Yeah. That actually, I think, is going to be match of the night.
Yeah, they're going to beat the hell out of each other.
They are. Man, that's going to be such a great match, too. There's so much good wrestling this week. There really is. There's much
UFC. We got Surreal Gone versus Taichi Avasa for free this weekend. Like, that's some great stuff. There's probably indie stuff that I'm totally missing that I have written down on my calendar that I'm not even thinking about right now. The Life of Cole Radrick just dropped on IWTV. Y'all can check that out right now. It dropped at midnight. Use code Fight Talk. We got a bunch of stuff going on.
Let's go on to, we got a lot to talk about when it comes to AEW. So here we go.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. And it was a great show. And I think it's been a run of great shows.
Punk and Moxley 2 headlining AEW All Out. Jon Moxley came out last week after, kicking the shit out of CM Punk and beating him in less than 5 minutes, squashing him. He comes out at the start of the show last night, just says, here's an open contract. Somebody sign it. Let's fucking fight. Leaves it in the middle of the ring. Takes people way too long to come getting the contract. These fans in Chicago, they're all cowards. They should have jumped in there, should have grabbed this contract to fight Jon Moxley. All the people in the back, they were just sitting in the ring. Go out there and grab it. Ace Steel finally comes out and he grabs it. And then later in the night, CM Punk comes out and he says, I can't wrestle. Then, it seems like he's hinting at retirement. My foot's hurt. Tried to give it a go. Now it's an old injury, but a new injury, and it's 100%, but not 100%. I didn't like the first portion of CM Punk's promo. I'm going to be honest about that. And then he took a shot at some guy who doesn't get laid enough, which was a little...
There's someone in the crowd.
Yeah. He was heckling him. I don't know. Just... come on. What are we doing there? Ace Steel comes out, cuts a very fiery promo. I love this promo by Ace Steel. It's like, remember who the fuck you are? Like, go out there. This is Chicago. Kick Jon Moxley's ass. And then Punk does this big rah-rah speech after his hero, Seth Rollins. He does this big rah-rah speech, gets the Chicago crowd all fired up, goes into the crowd. And here we go. CM Punk, Jon Moxley 2. First, what do you think of the overall segment and how they got to Punk Moxley 2?
I mean, I like the callback to Ace Steel. I mean, I think that's cool. It would have been cool to have Cole Cabana involved in this too, but I know that I get it. I get it. I'm just saying, it could have been done, but I understand why it isn't. I'm just, but having Ace be a part of that, that's cool. Dude, honestly, especially after yesterday and the. I'll address this first. The whole contract in the ring thing, I'm with you 100%. There should have been people just storming that ring to get that envelope. Dude,
it should have been like a WWE 24/7 title. That was called still. They're one of those segments. Just a bunch of people run in the ring, get a bunch of random injuries for no reason. I'm not actually saying they should have done this, but that's a just wacky cartoon. Everybody coming in fighting to get this contract. Then here comes old Ace Steel just slipping in there to get the contract. That's how they should have done it. Get a bunch of dorks. The wingmen complaining about TV time. There you go. Just go out there and get the wingmen on TV. Get the Trust Busters. Tony loves them. So throw them all running to get the contract.
Speaking of that, I think that the wingmen, I feel like that was their way of breaking that up and just disbanding that whole thing last night. They just got destroyed by W. Morrissey. So I'm kind of feeling because Anthony Henry's going to be a part of AEW and Ring of Honor going forward. You got to just do him and JD Drake as a tag team. End this whole wingman thing. It's just time to it's over. It's not working. Ryan Nemeth isn't funny. I just don't know how else to say it. Him on BTE is just the most lame segments every week. And it's been happening for over a year now. Anyway, Moxley and Punk though. Okay. So, I get that the show's in Chicago. I get that CM Punk is this big star, and his work in AEW has been fantastic. The Kingston stuff and the Darby stuff and the MJF stuff and so on and so forth. I mean, I'm gonna give CM Punk all the credit in the world. I would much rather have Jon Moxley as the AEW champion right now, though. I'm not gonna lie. I think that he he completely validated his interim title run by beating Punk. And now I just look at that whole thing as him just being the champion the whole time. Like, I don't really attach an interim to that since he did beat Punk, especially the way that he did. And I just love the dynamic of Moxley just being this dude who's like in it for the love of the game. Like, he's out there wrestling, defending the GCW championship. And that's another thing that has to be taken into account real quick is he's not going to be able to lose the GCW championship until he's lost the AEW championship. Like, I don't see Tony or anyone signing off on the idea of like Nick Gage pinning Jon Moxley while Jon Moxley is still the AEW world champion. So
Moxley should be like, fuck it, I'm putting Gage over before I'm putting over anybody in this company.
Well, I don't think Moxley would care. Like, I think Moxley would be fine with putting whoever over, but it's Tony, you know what I mean? Being like, what kind of look is this for my company when like my champion gets beat somewhere else? But so I just want to throw that out there too, because there's more than just the AEW title at play with this, because if they are going to put the belt back on Nick Gage in GCW, which is what I feel like they're heading towards in October, then he has to lose the AEW title before that. So that might be like a little bit of foreshadowing that is going to be happening. And I mean, it's Chicago. I like that they've built this seed of doubt, I guess, of like, you know, before it was, well, of course Punk's going to beat Moxley in their original match because Punk was only out because he was injured. He's going to unify the titles. Moxley was just kind of a placeholder. And then Moxley just squashes him in like 3 minutes. And now it's flipped a little bit to where it's like the seed of doubt is, well, is CM Punk healthy enough? Is he going to be able to beat a guy who just destroyed him? And now it's like the it all being amplified because it's in Chicago, in his hometown, where CM Punk is, you know, a god. So the dynamic's very interesting. I have to predict CM Punk will win. I can't imagine that he's going to lose with it being in Chicago. But honestly, if it was anywhere else, I think that there's a chance Moxley would retain here. But I think that, you know, with it being Chicago, Punk gets the belt back. Maybe this is when MJF returns, like Punk wins the title and then MJF just beats the hell out of him in front of the Chicago crowd and they all just boo the shit out of him. Like, I don't know, but long story short, personally, I really dig what Mox is doing. I'd like to see him continue as the AEW champion. He's similar to a McIntyre situation himself, being the champion throughout the pandemic, and now he's getting to have like an actual title run in front of fans, and I think it's working really well. But CM Punk is still CM Punk. He's still super famous. He's still at the top of his game. He's doing great work. It's in Chicago, so I mean, I've got to pick CM Punk as my prediction. But I have a lot more. There's a lot more in my head going into this than there would have been had they not had the first match. So I think it's actually worked out pretty well how things have like played out heading into this match personally.
I think this segment and certainly this match with the way they've set it up kind of only works in Chicago. And look, that's how they played it. I'm not saying, you know, it's in Chicago. So they laid that part out very well. And that's why they did it. Am I the biggest fan of the way they got there? No. I would have much preferred just, hey, CM Punk, he's back, he's healthy, he was on the run of a lifetime before he got injured and everything. One loss, he avenged that loss. Jon Moxley kicking everybody's ass, like two titans colliding. Here we fucking go in the biggest main event, arguably in AEW history. I mean, Hangman and like Omega was a better story, but like as far as just like star power and just two guys looking for a fight and everything, like Moxley and Punk was that match. And then they did it on free TV. Moxley won in 3 minutes. And now the story is, hey, CM Punk was like 2 seconds away from retirement, it felt like last night. And then Punk lost to MJF in Chicago. But he was like 2 seconds away from retirement. And then Ace Steel comes out, cuts a great promo, fires him up. Punk gets fired up. It's a very underdog. And this is what we talked a little bit about last week. Is like they're going to make CM Punk sort of the underdog because his foot hurts, but it's like Chicago tough and everything. Look, we've seen this in a million sports movies. It's the guy who the team, they get their ass kicked in the first thing. And then it's like, oh, we can't beat him. Why try? And they get this big rah-rah speech from somebody. And here we go. Like, we're going to do it now. This is our time. Like, it's a fine story, but do I think it's the better story than just two titans clashing for the first time and who is the better man? No, I think that would have been the better story. I don't know how well this is going to do on pay-per-view. Honestly, don't really care. It's not like AEW is going out of business or anything. So whatever. If it does well, great. If it doesn't do well, maybe they should have stuck with the original plan of just, let's do this match the first time and build it up to be this big thing. Let's see who the better man is. I didn't like the first half of the promo. I thought Ace Steel's part was good. Punk firing up Chicago was fine. I would prefer Jon Moxley to win because I think he's just a better performer right now than CM Punk. I assume CM Punk will win. And that's the other part that I'm not like a big fan of is like, why do the unification match, have Moxley win in 3 minutes and then Punk beats him, even though he's like kind of hurt, but maybe not really hurt. And then, okay, now you just kind of hot potato the title a little bit when you almost didn't need to, just to tell this underdog story in 2 weeks. Like, that's the part that I'm not a fan of. I'm honestly not a fan of it. I think they could have done this a little bit better, but I'm looking forward to the match, especially if we actually are going to get a big time match out of it, which I assume we will. CM Punk, I've said this before, like I've been rewatching a lot of his AEW stuff. He's so good in the ring. Like, the stories he tells in the ring are exceptional. And I expect this to be another just great match with a good story laced in there. People are saying Punk is going to have to cheat. Yeah, I've seen that, like, maybe MJF does come out and he aligns with CM Punk. I've seen people throw that out there. I don't know about that. But that's a possibility. People have said a Steel maybe helps. So I've seen that like Punk does actually go heel. Chicago's going to cheer him, but everywhere else he's kind of a heel. So I've seen that. I think he's better off as a heel. I still think you could have gotten there just building it up, almost Rock Austin-esque. And obviously the Austin heel turn didn't go over too hot, but Austin showed no like big inkling of a heel turn. And the way they did that was, I don't think the idea behind it was bad. I just don't think anybody wanted it at that point. Like, people are kind of clamoring for a CM Punk heel turn, especially after he calls out Hangman and the promo material with Moxley. Like, people are fine with a CM Punk heel turn. Nobody wanted it from Austin, but people are okay with it from CM Punk. So yeah, I think you could have built it up as 2 Clash of the Titans, and then you still could have done the heel turn. That's just my personal preference. Still looking forward to the match though.
Yeah, I totally get all of that. And I'm with you with most of it too. I just kind of accepted it for what it is, I guess. And like, but I think that I think the match is going to be good. And with it being in Chicago, the atmosphere is going to be crazy. Can you pull up the super chat, but the message from Kai about Bobby Boucher real quick?
Yeah.
Can you pull that up on the screen? It says, remember when Bobby Boucher showed up at halftime and the Mud Dogs won the Bourbon Bowl vibes, which is a line from the Water Boy. All this talk reminds me very much of D2, the Mighty Ducks. This is like Jon Moxley's Team Iceland and CM Punk is the Ducks in Iceland, beat the Ducks down in the first matchup. And then in the finals, the Ducks got their revenge, got the big W. When the roosters are crowing and the cows are spinning circles in the pasture, Ducks fly together.
Ducks fly together. Yeah.
Let's go. So quack, 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 quack. Let's go, chat. Quack, quack, quack.
It's Rocky 3. Rocky gets his ass kicked by Clubber in the first fight. Mickey dies. He goes to train with Apollo, and then Rocky comes back in the second fight and win. Like it's 90% of sports movies out there, right? Yes. Maybe that's a high estimate, but yeah, it's a sports movie. That's what they're going with here. Fine, not my personal preference for this type of thing. That's all.
Let's understand. We got a couple of quacks in the chat. Appreciate y'all.
Let's go. So that's just, I'm looking forward to it though. Should be fine. I would go with Moxley. I think you would go with Moxley as well, but we're both kind of picking
We're both
CM
picking Punk. As far as like Wrestle Rumble is concerned, I'm picking CM Punk, but like my heart is with Jon Moxley.
Yeah. Grant B just says, shout out Fred Durst. Yeah, I think Fred Durst should be booking the NWA if you're going to go with a washed music person.
Oh, not washed. Don't call Fred Durst washed. Come on, man. Get out of here. That new album wasn't as bad as what people say. I'm not going to lie. It's actually not too bad. But Fred Durst, yeah. You're a Limp Bizkit fan. How are you going to say that?
Yeah. I love Limp Bizkit when, early 2000s and everything. I ain't trying to listen to Limp Bizkit in 2022 the same way I'm not trying to listen to Smashing Pumpkins in 2022. Same way I'm not trying to watch wrestling put on by the owner of the Smashing Pumpkins in 2022. Fred Durst running a wrestling company would be fucking hilarious. So I'm for it. I'm fine with that.
He should be.
Freddie Prinze should give him the pencil.
Yeah,
he should.
True, Freddie should. Yeah, all of Limp Bizkit should be in the WWE Hall of Fame for sure. Like there are people that are less deserving than Limp Bizkit that are in my opinion.
It is just one of those days. You know what song I listened to completely off the rails right now, and shit, now the name escapes my mind. But just think about it. I can't think of the name of the song. That song's really good though.
Yeah, now I'm gonna you and me.
Yeah. Rearranged. Yeah. That's a great song. Everybody should listen to it. To Limp Bizkit. Okay.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay. This is my spotlight. They had the big trios match last night. They had the big trios match. They finally interacted after years of talking shit on Twitter and interviews and social media and various, even on television. Like after years, finally got the big Omega Ospreay interaction last night in the trios match. The Elite won, as I think most people expected, over the United Empire. Here's my hot take for you, Stephen Jensen. Kenny Omega is head and shoulders above Will Ospreay as an in-ring performer. Head and shoulders. I don't think there's a debate to be had. I think Omega is that much. When he says that he's that much better, I think it's true. And I think Will Ospreay is a great performer. That's how good Kenny Omega is.
So I don't know if I can go that far, but I will say, personally speaking, I am a bigger fan overall of Kenny than I am Will. I think both are fantastic, and I think both you can make a case for either. I know Doug, my friend, you know Doug as well, our friend Doug, who we'll be doing the football show with on Saturdays with Rob. He might listen to this. He's gonna be very mad at you. He is all about but he's also a big Kenny fan. His two favorite wrestlers are probably Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, but he gives the nod to Ospreay. There's a lot of people that give the nod to Ospreay right now, but dude, what a great position to be in as a wrestling fan though, where that's the debate. That's worst case scenario, we're debating about two wrestlers that are insanely talented. At the end of the day, we just want to see them wrestle each other one-on-one. And I'm sure that'll happen at Wrestle Kingdom. That's got to be the place. But
I think that's that feels like the big Wrestle Kingdom match, because we're gonna get it one-on-one at some point. That last night was just a taste, and their interactions were great. I absolutely love the spot where Ospreay does his flipping to the outside and Omega catches him in the snap suplex and looks at the camera, is like, fuck am I supposed to do? Just stand here and let him hit me? No, I'm not doing that. So great. Shit like that is why I think Omega is he's head and shoulders above Ospreay. He's just better. He's a better storyteller in ring. The way, once again, selling all of his injuries and everything, running out of fumes at the end of the match, needing help up and everything. The way this man crafts a match and the way he tells stories within the match, much like CM Punk, it's just better than Ospreay. Yeah, I don't think Ospreay's bad. I think as far as athleticism and just in-ring talents, there aren't too many people you're going to find that are better than Will Ospreay. But as far as just emotion, these are all things Omega has said. And, I don't know how much he's working. I don't know how much is truth. I do think there's a little bit of truth in all of these comments, but these are all things that Omega has said is you've had 25-star matches. No one remembers them. They look aesthetically pleasing, but you didn't capture any emotion in them. And like, to me, that's the difference between these two. There's rarely a bad Will Ospreay match. It's fucking fantastic in-ring wrestler. But like, when I watch a guy like Kenny Omega perform, like I'm captivated by him. Like, I'm actually captivated by him. So yes, Kenny Omega wipes the floor with Will Ospreay.
Hey, I totally see where you're coming from. Like I said, I think that Omega is a better, like, overall professional wrestler. And to be fair though, Kenny Omega might be the best overall pro wrestler in the entire world. Like, there's him, there's Danielson, there's some people you can put in that short list. But Omega is definitely on that short list of, like, you know, and Ospreay is still only, like, I think he's still younger than 30. I think he's still like 28 or 29 or something like that, I want to say, which is just like crazy. He's only going to keep getting better. And this trios match was awesome. This match ruled. The only thing that seemed a little bit off was like when Ospreay went for the that shooting star
the spike pile driver. Yeah. He messed that one up.
Yeah, he kind of like landed on his face, kind of, which looked a little strange.
He like headbutted the Jackson. I forgot if it was Matt or Nick. He just like headbutted him in the back. Looked very awkward.
Yeah, it did. I mean, at least he hit him, so at least it seemed like, okay, maybe he got him with like a big like shoulder, and then they dropped him with the pile driver. At least he didn't like completely miss. At least it wasn't like a Matt Sydal type situation where, dude, when Matt Sydal came out for the first time on AEW, and like I was watching with friends, and some of them followed wrestling and some of them don't, and Sydal comes out to the ring, and on the way to the ring, I'm like, oh dude, like, guarantee you this guy right off through, this guy's gonna hit this like 6 shooting star press, and you guys are gonna like think this looks so cool. And he gets up to the top rope, and I go, this is why he's here, right here, this move. And then he like slipped off the ropes, and I was like, oh my god. They were like, that's your boy? And I was like, but Ospreay, that was nothing like that, at least. But
here's where I'm gonna throw more criticism at Will Ospreay.
Okay.
A shooting star doesn't make sense for that move because of how your momentum is. You want to jump up high and then come down and then spike them. Like, okay, the Jacksons like do the front flip. Like, all right, so you're going forward and then you can still come down like that. Shooting star, you're going backwards when you're coming down. So Ospreay, you do kind of have to land on the side, but you lose effectiveness when you're trying to pull that off. He was just going for like a cool looking version, but actually taking the effectiveness out of the move. And then it didn't look good because he couldn't get his arms down when he's coming down with it. But it's the bad way to execute it. He went for flash over substance.
He did. He went for flash over substance. You're absolutely right about that. Now, if you would have nailed it, it would have looked really cool. So
it would have looked cool. Like, I agree. It would have looked cool, but this is what I'm talking about. And it's very minute, minor nitpicking things. Like, Will Ospreay's going to get on Twitter and bury me or some shit. But like, this is what I'm talking about, though. When you're talking about the top of the top performers, you look for these minor things of like, why is this person better than this person? What is the little detail that makes this person better than this person? And things like that are the things that I look at.
That's fair. I think that's totally fair. And for what it's worth, once again, we agree. Like, I think that if I had to build a company from scratch right now, and I had to choose one person to start with, and it was either going to be Omega or Ospreay, I'd pick Omega. But once again, I'd pick Omega over like most wrestlers. Like, fair. There's very few I'd pick over Omega. And Ospreay could get there. Like, he still has plenty of time to get there.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. This is not a knock on Will Ospreay. I hope people realize I think he's fantastic as an in-ring performer. But yeah, just when you're looking for these things of what separates the top from the top, these are the things that I'm going after. Ospreay's great. He's definitely not the guy people think he is from like all the gifts and stuff. Like, if you're still holding on to that, you just haven't caught up on Will Ospreay. And yeah, he's 29. A lot of these wrestlers really don't come into their prime as like performers until their mid 30s. So Ospreay's this good. And I do think as he loses maybe a little bit of the athleticism and isn't able to do some of the stuff that he can do now, he will start to incorporate more of the storytelling elements in there. But right now, Kenny Omega is right about him, that it's easy for him. He relies on that stuff. And this Omega is better when it comes to actually captivating, getting emotion, and telling stories in the ring.
Yeah, I'm with you. And once again, last night's match was awesome. Can't wait for them to run that back as a singles match. And like we both said, we're assuming that'll probably happen at Wrestle Kingdom, which is the place that it makes the most sense for it to happen. So
let's move on, Jensen, to our other spotlight.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
For some reason, you want to talk about this NWA show that was 2 nights and featured 1,800 matches that I won't remember and don't remember. But the main event was Trevor Murdoch against Tyrus. Take it away, Stephen Jensen.
Yeah, so, we've been covering this a little bit heading into it, like for a few weeks. And I'm going to say this. People are going to think I'm insane. I don't think the match was that bad. I really don't.
Sure.
Honestly, like the expectations I had going into it, I was expecting it to be way worse than what we got. So I want to give the credit where it's due. That was probably the best match I've ever seen Tyrus have. It wasn't some 5-star classic. Okay.
It wasn't even a
listen. No, I'm about to say like this is the best way I could probably describe it. It far exceeded my expectations. It was way better than I expected it to be. 3 out of 10. You know what I mean? I was expecting way worse than what we got. So I want to give a lot of credit to Trevor Murdoch because he is underrated in my opinion for the work he's putting in, and he fits the NWA brand perfectly. I understand why Murdoch's. Well, there's not a whole lot of options, in the NWA right now for who they put the title on, and I get Murdoch being in that spot. I've said it before, I like Trevor Murdoch more than most wrestling fans probably do. But I have to give some credit to Tyrus. I have to. It's a two-way street, and usually it's absolutely terrible, and all he does is just barely move around and just does the heart punch. Big mark out moment for Murdoch kicking out of the heart punch, by the way. That was huge. So Murdoch kicked out of the hard punch. He won the match. Tyrus finally got pinned. I think he had been completely undefeated in the NWA up to that point, from what I can remember. So yeah, I want to throw it out there. Murdoch retains. A lot of people's fears did not get met because a lot of people were dreading that Tyrus was going to win this thing, and he didn't. But we also got to remember he does have that TV title, and he still can cash that in for a title shot. So he still has another title shot in his back pocket. So we probably haven't seen the last of Tyrus going for the world title, and he still could become the champion, I guess. But I want to give credit where it's due, to be completely honest. The match was better than I expected it to be. Was it good? No. But I thought it was way better than what I was giving it credit for heading into it. So I want to be honest about that.
I was disappointed on multiple levels by this match. One, that it wasn't as bad as I was hoping it.
Right.
Because it was fine. There was nothing wrong with it.
They worked hard, man. They did.
They tried. They were out there trying. It was fine. Again, I didn't want fine. I wanted awful. I wanted Tyrus to trip over himself, and I wanted this to be the worst thing ever. Because then I could at least make fun of it. I get some enjoyment out of it. You just go out there and you just have a basic wrestling match where you do the bare minimum, nobody screws up and it's okay. All right, sit here and just be yeah, fine match, whatever. So I was disappointed that it wasn't worse. That it actually did exceed my expectations. I was disappointed on that level. 2, I was disappointed Tyrus didn't win. Because if you're going to go with this shit, go full bore with it. JJ says that Billy Corgan is a coward. He is. I was watching this match. I was cheering for Tyrus, baby. I had it on. And when he hit that heart punch, I was like, let's go. Here we go. We got it. And then when Murdoch hits the first bulldog and Tyrus kicks out, oh, no. What are we doing? No, I thought he was going to lose on that one. Tyrus kicked out. I was excited. Then he hit the other ones. Oh, he's going to win. He won. if you're going to go with this, if you're going to be just like whatever the NWA is supposed to be, the straight up the middle, then just do this dumb shit that has people talking and laughing. People aren't watching. People are not really paying attention to this stuff. No offense to the NWA. They're just, nobody's really caring about this stuff. Do dumb shit to maybe pop whatever the rating is on YouTube of like, let's tune in and to see how bad this is. Give me exceptional wrestling, which we're getting right now from WWE and AEW, which is great. I think the industry overall, because the top two companies are doing very well, the industry is very healthy right now. I think for the most part, the independent scene is doing well. Give me exceptional stuff or give me shit that I can just make fun of and have a laugh at. Like, that's what I want. And the NWA did not give me the latter. They just gave me Trevor Murdoch. I'm with you. He's fine. He does fit the NWA brand. I don't know if that's good, but he does. And just give me shit that I make fun of. Yes. Control Your Narrative showed up. Matt Cardona lost to his handpicked opponent, but he's still probably going to face Trevor Murdoch at the next pay-per-view. Even though he lost again on Power. Still
Shout out
probably going to
Rolando
get a title
Freeman.
shot.
Yeah.
Like, all this is like, I don't have an issue with Cardona. The Control Your Narrative stuff's hilarious. But they should have put the belt on Tyrus. Just give me stuff I can make fun of. So I was disappointed in those two aspects. Billy Corgan is a coward. Fred Durst should be booking the NWA.
There you go. But yeah, Rolando Freeman has been getting some big W's over.
What was up with the end of this thing too, where like Trevor Murdoch is like trying to put him over and Tyrus is flipping the table.
Oh yeah.
And Murdoch is like, oh, well, he's being a bitch. Like, what was that? That was insane and stupid.
That's how every single NWA pay-per-view ends, is with just a head scratching. Like, this just didn't make sense. Like, most of the time it's in the actual match where like the main event will actually be going pretty well. And then they'll just have some just insane finish that just doesn't make any sense at all and just pisses everybody off and confuses everyone. This was kind of that. Like, yeah, Tyrus loses, holds Murdoch's hand up, looks like he's like kind of pseudo babyface turn in front of everybody, giving him his credit. The show ends with Murdoch, his hand up, and everything's good. Murdoch gets on the microphone and he's like giving props to Tyrus. He's like, man, no matter what anyone says, like, Tyrus, you came out here and you like really went for it. Like, he's like giving him like credit, and then Tyrus is like, no, I don't want credit. Like, throws the table upside down, and then like leaves, and then Murdoch's like, yeah, what a little punk bitch. It's like, what was that? Like that,
hey,
that doesn't make any sense.
Good job, good effort, you little bitch. Like, it just,
yeah,
very
fuck
strange.
Compliments. Yeah,
they didn't follow up on it on Power or anything. I don't know if it was planned or not. Regardless, like, this is just dumb. Just, if it wasn't planned, then neither guy looked all that great. And if it was planned, maybe follow up with it and put the belt on Tyrus. That was weird. There's your NWA 74 recap. We talked about it. I can't believe you made me talk about this. Shit,
there you go. There was a lot of matches. I watched all of it.
Didn't need it.
Reviewed it on the Weekender. If you don't want like full recap of that, check out the Weekender from this past Sunday. You can hear all my thoughts on NWA 74.
Didn't need it. We need your review of it. We didn't need
Thanks.
2 nights of these shows. I said that beforehand. We didn't need 2 nights of this. My spotlight is Lady Frost not getting her release from Impact Wrestling. And I got an issue with this because, so here's Sean's report. Go to Fightful Select. It's been less than 24 hours, so I feel I can just read this entire report on air. She's commented on it publicly. She hasn't gone like full details, but she has, if you go to her Twitter, she has said some stuff about it. So real quickly, Kate says, Tyrus is the Joker. Sure. If AEW, if they want to get some laugh pops out of me, put Tyrus as the Joker.
Yeah, Shu is the Joker. Kate will get that. Bob O'Neill's nemesis, Shu. What did you say right before this? There was something I was going to add to that. Oh, with Impact. Yeah, with Lady Frost. I feel like I've seen her tweeting about this like well before that she was trying to get out. I feel like that was like already a known
She
thing.
was. Yeah.
Okay.
She put out there that like she had requested her release. I think she was the first person to put it out there. Like she publicly said, I request my release. And then it didn't happen. And then Sean reported on it. And then she has now said a little bit more on it. So here's what Sean's kind of reported here. As opposed to a full-time salary contract, Frost is on an exclusive pay per appearance deal with Impact, only gets paid whenever she is used. She's not been at recent Impact tapings. There's no creative plans for her at the moment. We've been told she's made it clear via numerous avenues that she wishes to be released and requested her release directly to Anthem's president and CEO. We're told that Frost needed to schedule a medical procedure earlier this year and informed Impact management of such that she'd be sidelined. Despite this, Frost was booked for the Dallas tapings in April without hotel and flight accommodations from the company, ended up paying out of pocket. After that, Frost made Impact management aware of her needs for the aforementioned procedure. After appearing at those tapings, Frost said she was left in the dark about her status while she was sidelined, and she was told she wouldn't be used in the immediate future. There's also issues raised of how much she is paid compared to the cost of performing at the tapings. There are other reimbursements for things like blood work that she says were not provided, though they were supposed to be. It says one note was that one meal is generally provided during a 12-hour workday during tapings. There are also unpaid travel accommodations that Frost said effectively costing her money to work the tapings for a company she felt doesn't value her health. None of this is good. Absolutely none of this is good. If she's on a paid per appearance deal, use her. Let her make money, because otherwise you're costing her money. I assume she can work like indies and everything, but she would probably have to like leave dates open for Impact tapings, thinking she might get used. And they're taping like once a month now. And if they're not going to use her, I assume Impact's her biggest money provider too. She's worked some. I'm looking at the Arcade match. She has worked some indies. She's worked AEW, Hurricane Pro, Revenge Pro. So like she's worked indies and stuff. But I imagine Impact is her highest paying gig. So that's money that she's not making when she's not in Impact. And if she's paying out of pocket, it seems like, for some travel stuff, and she's not getting taken care of when it comes to blood work being paid for, when it comes to just one meal in 12 hours, this is not a good look for Impact. I don't understand why they won't release her. She tweeted, where's the tweet at? It costs nothing but my sanity. I'm thankful for my family at home and all the friends I've made in wrestling. They've been helping me through this, but I will stand strong no matter what. I'm struggling. I will stand strong no matter what. If you were in a relationship where someone didn't care about your physical and mental well-being, and you didn't adequately provide for you financially, would you fight to be free from it? That's obviously about Impact and not about, she even clarified, like, that's not about her husband or anything.
I think he clarified as well. He was like, this isn't about me. Like, before anything gets out there, this is not about me. Yeah.
So it's a bad look for Impact. Like, just release her. It does cost you nothing to release her, especially if you're not using her and she's paying out of pocket for stuff. It's just bad. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic almost that, or coincidental, I should say, that I was just having this conversation the other day with somebody about how all this stuff's been coming out recently about AEW backstage and like the Kingston and Sammy stuff, and now we're hearing about Bobby Fish, his contract not being renewed, and just stuff like, it just seems kind of like the honeymoon phase is over for AEW in a lot of ways. And like the CM Punk backstage stuff and Hangman, and like there's kind of a lot going on, it seems like, behind the scenes, and Tony Khan having to call that meeting and all that stuff. And I'm not really trying to draw attention to all those things by saying this. My point is more so that when you're a company as big and as successful as AEW has been over the last 3 years, these are kind of growing pains that are going to happen, where not everyone's going to get along backstage all the time. And Tony Khan's going to have to learn that fine line of like being a boss versus being a friend versus being a fan and all that kind of stuff. And they're figuring it out along the way. But AEW has also been so successful so quickly that like we're just starting to see some of this stuff kind of come to light. And I was actually talking to somebody the other day about this, and I had mentioned specifically Impact Wrestling and said, you don't really hear about this stuff with Impact really, because I just think a lot of people really just don't care enough to look into it. And also I think Impact is usually pretty good about like, if things aren't working out, moving on and like letting people move on. And then like a few days later, this Lady Frost stuff came out, and I was like, that's such a coincidence. I was just talking about how this company, like, this kind of stuff really isn't happening there. And now it seems like it is, and that's a bummer. I would say, I mean, if I'm Impact, I definitely let Lady Frost go if she wants out, because you're not using her. Like, if you're not using her, what's the point? And Impact has an issue with this with a lot of performers. We talked about this a lot. You not only using the wrong people and pushing the wrong people consistently, when you have people you could be pushing that leave by the time it's too little too late, by the time they want to do something with them. Lady Frost was in a position where when she came in, she was pushed quickly. She looked like she was going to be a real contender in the Knockouts division, which is a pretty stacked women's division. Like, that, you know, we give a lot of credit to the Impact Knockouts, and she would have been a really big part of that. And if they don't figure her into the plans of being a part of that, and once again, I'm assuming here that Impact is her biggest money maker. That's definitely the company that's getting the most eyes out of anywhere she'd be working. And yeah, I mean, if they're not communicating with her, if they're not, because you can't imagine she's not the only one. So it's like, if there's communication issues, if they're not being provided, enough food for like long tapings, if they're not getting compensated or reimbursed for their own blood work that like they have to do to be a part of the company and those kind of things, like, that is something Impact needs to fix, I'd like to get kind of both sides of it before I make like real judgment on anything. That's just how I am when it comes to literally anything. Like, I'd be interested to hear what Impact has to say about this if they wanted to say something without it being like condescending or rude. Like, maybe if they could address it like, hey, we did miss out on paying this or this, or hey, we did pay this or this, and like she, and she either didn't get the memo, or maybe there's a miscommunication there. Like, so I want to give Impact the benefit of the doubt, because we don't really hear of this happening too often in that company. But I also have no reason to believe like Lady Frost is like lying about any of this. You know what I mean? So it's like, I guess at the end of the day, if this is all true, which I assume that it is, because I don't know why else she'd put it out there if it wasn't. I hope she just gets out. I hope because she'd be an asset in AEW. She'd be an asset really anywhere. And she could main event a lot of indie shows across the country and stuff. So, I mean, she will get booked plenty of places and be able to make money. But like you said, I think the biggest hold up there, and you brought up a great point, is the not taking certain bookings because you're assuming that Impact is going to book you on certain days. So like, if you're saying no to all these companies and burning those bridges because you're never available to be on those shows, but then you're free because like Impact isn't booking you, but now it's too late to get on those shows that you were originally asked to be on. Now you're not making any money. You can't wrestle. You can't do anything. You're just stuck at home in this contract that you can't get out of. So, when it comes to, in general, I side with like the performer or like the athlete or the talent over the large corporation. And in this comparison, I would say I would be that way unless Impact comes out and makes some sort of explanation that like completely contradicts what she's saying and like there's truth to it. Unless that happens, I gotta side with Lady Frost here and say like, if what she's saying is true, that sucks, and I hope she gets out of her deal.
I can potentially buy. I'm with you. Let's hear both sides. I can potentially buy that maybe there was miscommunications when it comes to like travel, blood work, food, and like that's Lady Frost's side of the story, and Impact might have another side to the story. I don't know if they can justify pay per appearance deal not using her.
Right.
She wants out. We're not letting her out. It's going to be very tough to justify. Like if somebody wants out of their contract, and I'd say this with WWE, like if somebody wants out, I guess WWE it's a little bit different because at least you're still getting paid if you're under contract. But in this case, like it's a pay per appearance deal. You're not using her and she wants out. Just release her from that. Like just let it go. Because I assume there's some language in there that obviously is going to restrict her from signing elsewhere if she's on this deal. And that's why she wants out, because of that language. That's the part that just doesn't seem like is justifiable in any area. The other stuff, yes, I can buy. Let's hear Impact's side. Maybe there was miscommunication. Maybe this should have happened. Maybe that should have happened. But pay per appearance deal, not using her. She wants out. Let her go. To me, that seems kind of cut and dry. Maybe there's more. I don't know, like maybe, but at least from what we know, it seems pretty cut and dry in Lady Frost's favor.
Well, and if it's a pay for appearance deal and they're interested in using her and she's okay with doing some business with them, she doesn't have to be under contract for that. They can just hire her for certain shows they want her to appear on as a free agent. There doesn't have to be this contract that like holds her down from being able to take bookings elsewhere, like when they're not using her. So
strange situation. I hope it gets resolved. I hope that Lady Frost gets out of this and is able to move on with everything, because it doesn't seem like it's a good situation for her. So yeah, hopefully it gets fixed.
I'm gonna give a big motherfucking shout out.
Jensen, the Indies, big indie match this past weekend at House of Glory, High Intensity. Eddie Kingston against Naomichi Marufuji. I know this is a match that, like, Kingston's talked about it many times, his love for All Japan, his love for the strong style, his love for King's Road. It's a big match against Marufuji. Only went like 7 minutes. Wasn't like a long match or anything, but it was exactly what you would expect from Eddie Kingston and Marufuji. And I'm spotlighting this largely because I'm happy for Eddie Kingston that he got this match against someone that he's looked up to and respected, in a match that I'm sure he pushed for and he really wanted, in Marufuji's return to the United States. And Kingston gets this, especially with all the stuff going on with him right now in AEW. I want Eddie Kingston to do well and to succeed. Go watch this match. It's like 8 minutes of your time. If you enjoy Eddie Kingston, you'll enjoy this match, because it's exactly what you would expect from an Eddie Kingston Marufuji match.
Yes, the guys hit the hell out of each other. Kingston with some nice spinning back fists at the end of the match, as always. Marufuji, seeing him back in the U.S. is cool. Years ago, I drove from Nashville to St. Louis. It was either St. Louis or Alton, Illinois. They're basically the same area, but I drove there. It was like a 5-hour drive because there was a Glory Pro show, and at the time, so I on the same show, it was Cody Rhodes versus Michael Elgin, and this was pre-Elgin, all that stuff. But I just want to throw that out there. This was before all that, and the main event of the show was Marufuji versus Donovan Dijak, who everyone knows now as T-Bar. But I got to see Marufuji live years back at that show, and I'm really glad I got to go, because it was like his aura, like he's a true legend of the game. I mean, pro wrestling Noah and everything, and I just think it's really cool. Like it's a good match, and it's short too. Like you said, if you guys just want to like see a really fun, what do you say, 8 minutes, 8-minute match? I mean, check it out, Marufuji and in Kingston, and it's once again similar to Moxley. It's just badass seeing Kingston still out there like doing these indie shows and stuff just for the love of the game, when like he doesn't have to be doing these on his days off. So yeah, badass. Love the matchup. Love the performers. Want to see more Marufuji. Hopefully we get to see some of him in AEW while he's in the States too. I think that'd be badass. So
I don't think the match is on YouTube, JJ. It was on
House of Glory.
It was on Fight. Yeah, House of Glory was on
ITV,
Fight. Yeah, so I imagine you can still order it, or you can find it somewhere. This stuff is always available somewhere. Jensen, your indie spotlight is Hoodfoot winning the Battle of the Tough Guys 2 tournament. And this is IWC, right?
Yeah, IWC, and well, ICW, NHP.
ICW. I knew I was going to mess that up. Yes, ICW. They do the Battle of the Tough Guys tournament, where they basically, it's like a fight pit type situation.
Yeah,
and they just beat the shit out of each other. And Hoodfoot beat the shit out of a lot of people.
Yes, I want to give a shout out to Hoodfoot and Mo Atlas. It was 2 shows in one day, and basically the way that the pit fighter or like Battle of the Tough Guys works is it's basically like a fight pit, like a makeshift kind of cage, and then you have weapons in there, so it's kind of like a work shoot style, almost like MMA hybrid fight, but like you can use weapons, and so it's like a death match mixed in with like a shoot style fight type tournament, which I think they've created a really good niche for themselves with those kind of tournaments, and I love these Battle of the Tough Guy tournaments they do. Hoodfoot beat Hardway Heater. Shout out to KOBK, our friends over there. Hoodfoot beat Hardway Heater in the first round. beat Brandon Kirk beat Matt Tremont in the second round, beat Brandon Kirk in the third round, and then beat the Bobby Beverly in the finals. So big win for Hoodfoot. He's been, getting back in the game ever since, he weeks back he had that scare when he wound up in the hospital and needed like the staples and the stitches after that death match where the light, I believe it was a light tube, went into his arm a little too deep. And he's been back out there doing his thing. And I mean, this is pretty much diving back head first, doing a tournament like this and winning the whole thing. So it's good to see Hoodfoot, back in like his kind of in the form that he was in before that injury recently and stuff. And it's a big tournament. I mean, I once again, I cover ICW and HB pretty often on the Weekender because it's a company that I think puts on consistently entertaining shows. Like if you're not into death matches, some of this stuff might not be for you, but like they do a really good mix, like historically speaking on their shows of having like death matches or mixed matches or like work shoot style or like UWFI type style stuff. Sometimes their pits are literally like, instead of like a ring or a cage, they'll be like on a beach, just like with like tarp, like around them. Like, they'll find places to make a makeshift pit and have a show and stuff. So I like what they're doing a lot. So yeah, shout out to Hoodfoot, the winner of Battle of the Tough Guys 2.
Little too much death match for my liking with this Battle of the Tough Guys stuff. I can watch one or two during a show, like during a GCW show, full show of this stuff. Can't do it. Just can't do it. Bless you that you can, Stephen Jensen, but I can't do it.
It's been a lot of callousing of my mind watching this stuff. Like I went from not being able to stomach it at all to like being pretty numb to it because I've just seen so much of it at this point. But yeah, check it out if y'all are interested in something different. And that's on IWTV. So independentwrestling.tv. Y'all can check that out. And I got to go clock in for the shoot job.
All right, Jensen, plug everything you need to plug. We're going to get to our interview with Titus Alexander here in just a moment.
Yes, enjoy the interview with Titus Alexander. Guy's awesome. You can find me next on next will be Twitch, Fightful Gaming, twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming. Myself, Rob Wilkins, and Doug will be doing some NFL talk this Saturday. That'll be every Saturday going forward during the NFL season, 11 a.m. Eastern. So check that out. I'll make sure to put links for everything I got going on Twitter. That's FightTalk_. Use code FightTalk on IWTV.live. And check out the Weekender. I'll still probably put that out on Sunday. And we got a lot of good wrestling. We got Worlds Collide. We got Clash at the Castle. We got All Out. We got UFC for all you MMA fans. We got a lot of stuff going on. Indie wrestling, ton of great stuff. So yeah, enjoy the interview with Titus Alexander. I'm gonna jump off here and clock in for work. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jensen, as always. Kick him. There he goes. All right. Titus Alexander, people may know him from West Coast Pro. That's where he does the bulk of his work. He just won the West Coast Pro West Coast Cup tournament a couple weeks ago. He's done various stuff around on the independent scene. I first kind of found out about him through this show, actually, and through Will Ospreay. His match with Will Ospreay at West Coast Pro earlier this year was something that I watched and that stood out to me, and I was very impressed with Titus Alexander. And ever since then, I've been wanting to get him on the show. We finally got him on the show. A good interview with him. We went about 40 minutes, talked about, everything he's done in wrestling. He's appeared on 205 Live in the past. So we talked about that, wrestling the Singh brothers, the Bollywood boys. So we talked about that. Talked about just his athletic background, his influences. At the end of the show, we get into some boxing and some UFC stuff. He's a big boxing fan, big UFC fan. So covering a lot of different stuff with Titus Alexander. So it was a great interview with Titus. We're going to throw to that right now. Here we go. On to the creator spotlight here on the spotlight here on Fightful.com. I'm still Jeremy Lambert. That is still Stephen Jensen. And as you see below us, the winner of the West Coast Pro Wrestling West Coast Cup 2022, a West Coast legend, Titus Alexander. Oh. Titus Alexander, how you doing, man?
I wouldn't say a legend, but I'm doing good.
Come on, you could be a legend. Everybody is a legend in their own mind. I feel like I'm gonna call you a legend. All right.
Oh, I appreciate you.
We appreciate you joining us here tonight.
Oh, thank you guys for having me, man.
So we were talking a little bit off air, and I put over Stephen Jensen as this is the king of the indies right here. Jensen watches everything from the indies, and I force him to watch WWE. And then I start to learn more about the indies just by proximity of doing this show. And I started learning more about you from your match against Will Ospreay earlier this month. And like I watched that match and I was like, this Titus Alexander guy, he's amazing. Like he's fantastic. Our friend, I don't know if you know him, Righteous Reg, he does the Grapsody podcast.
Yes.
He has called you the AJ Styles of the West Coast scene.
Oh,
so
man.
That's higher praise than me saying you're a West Coast legend.
Yeah, very much, man. I like I've heard that before from him or through words of mouth. But yeah, him putting me over like that is very huge in my eyes, at least.
Yeah.
So, Reg is gospel. Like when Reg says something like that, I'm like, all right, I take it as gospel. And then watching you against Ospreay, watching you in the West Coast Cup, I was like, I see it. I 100% see it.
Oh man. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in right on that actually. Like guys like Ospreay and AJ Styles, I can definitely tell that you take some type of influence from those type of wrestlers. Are those two names you would bring up as like big inspirations to you personally? And is there some other names you throw out there that is like really kind of molded what your style has become?
Oh yeah, definitely. AJ Styles, definitely like the pacing of his matches and stuff like that. Ospreay, I would say yes, just because he's, in my opinion, like the best wrestler right now. Watching him like at PWG growing up, before I was even in wrestling, like I could never do all the stuff that he could do. But I mean, really, there's only a couple guys that really can. But yeah, those are the two. Ricky Steamboat for me is one of my favorites in general. The best babyface of all time. Granted, I'm not one of the baby faces anymore, but yeah, I get a lot of my match process from them.
Yeah, I was about to say the last time I saw you, you were ripping up a little kid's sign actually. So,
yeah, this past weekend.
Yeah, this past weekend, exactly. With your background, you mentioned some great in-ring workers, some of the best ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What's your background? Like, you're a very athletic guy. Like, did you play like traditional sports growing up?
Oh yeah, I was a huge football guy. I was quarterback from, I think, junior peewees or something like that, like all the way through. I did a little like amateur wrestling here, but I did football, I did rugby, I tried baseball, could never really get into baseball, but I just did it because my family wanted me to. It's just a different sport. But yeah, football was everything for me, and I still love football. I wish I could still go back and play, but yeah, definitely always have played football.
What position did you play in football?
I was quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everyone,
yeah, that's what everyone tells me. He's like, oh, dude, once you say football, I always picture you as the jockey quarterback guy. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. I'm like, hey, I mean, fair, but.
So what made you kind of get into wrestling, whether it was watching as a kid or then, getting into it as, okay, this is what I'm doing for a living now?
So my dad did it before I was born. I was always around it and doing it. I had my first match when I was 6, but we weren't really wrestling. We were just doing, like flips and stuff like that. But so yeah, I did that when I was very little, and I've always been around it. And then I started playing football, and then I just totally just went away from it. I'd watch it here and there, go on the road with my dad. But I got hurt in high school. I tore my ACL twice, junior and senior year. So I was like, well, maybe it's a sign to go somewhere else. And my dad was like, hey, you still want to train for wrestling? And I was like, sure, I'll try it. And then my sister was just getting into wrestling at the time. So I was just kind of being her bump dummy and helping her with moves that she can do and stuff like that. And then we did a little practice match. And then, yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
So I was confused because I was looking on your cage match page and I saw 2007 and I was like, yeah, and then I saw a gigantic gap and I was like, is this a mistake? So that would make sense though. So you were wrestling well before you really were doing it in recent years. You've always been involved.
Yeah. My dad, like I said, he's been doing it since I think my sister was born, and then try to get us into it. We did it for a little bit, and then sports just came around, so we just focused on that pretty much, and we were doing pretty good. And then wrestling just kind of took over, man.
I wanna ask about the WWE experience. You did a shot on 205 Live against the Singh brothers. What was that like?
It was awesome. It was kind of just random. It was, number one rule is always bring your gear. And at the time, I was doing a lucha character named El Matizo, which means half-breed, I think. And they were feuding with the Kalisto and Sin Cara, I think. And they were like, hey, we need local luchas. Who has a mask? And one of the other guys raised his hand, and I raised my hand rather quick. And they're like, okay, you guys go get your masks. And they brought these like weird, like, they weren't even masks. They were like just things that go over your eyes. And I was like, I don't think that'll work. So let me go get my mask. And then we did that. But working with the Singhs, it was very cool. Seeing them backstage and everything. And I don't think they would remember me now if I saw them a couple more times at like Defy and stuff. But yeah, it was very cool. And the thing is, my dad was there a couple of his friends. And I didn't tell him that I was going to do it because it was so last minute. And so we walked out, and of course they don't give us an entrance. We were just kind of walking, and during like commercial break, and then he sees us, or he sees me, he takes a picture, and then I guess he was popping to all these things. And I get back to my phone, then he calls me. He goes, "You motherfucker! Why didn't you tell me?" And I was like, "I wanted to pop you, Dad. Come on." I was like, "That's a big moment. I don't want to like spoil it. I want you to stay and watch it." And then he goes, "Yeah, dude, that's fucking so cool." And then of course we talked about it and everything. But yeah, that's how that came about.
So was that to even get kind of your foot in the door to be in the position to have your gear and have the mask? So this match happened in 2019. Was your pro debut 2018? Like technically?
Yes.
Okay, so it's only about a year or so into your run, and they were in California for that show. So, how did you even like get into that position to even be there to? And I know wrestling's in town and all, but like just kind of connections amongst maybe some of your peers, and you got to meet some people, and you kind of right place, right time. Yeah.
So a couple of people that actually work for WWE are students of my dad. And he's like one of the head trainers there, or not trainers, head referees. I'm sorry. And he was like, "Hey, we're gonna be in Sacramento, which is my hometown." And he's like, "Do your kids want to do background work?" And he was like, "Sure." We filled up all the stuff, and then we finally went, and it was a very cool experience. It's like you're sitting in catering with all these guys like you watch growing up, and you're marking out from like it was cool to see like Dolph Ziggler and Finn Balor like just eating rice and chicken and stuff like that. We're like, I was sitting there like, oh, Jesus, like it was very cool. But just having people there that knew like my dad from the local area, guys like Timothy Thatcher, who's trained by my dad, John Morrison, like the ref that was there that gave us the hookup. A couple other people, but yeah, just people that we knew in WWE gave us the hookup, I guess.
Is that a goal of yours, whether it be AEW, WWE, but to, for the next level to get to one of those spots?
Yeah. I haven't really thought about that. I know I probably should, but right now it's just about making money and, living out my dream, just doing this as a job. And right now I am, and I'm having fun with it. There's other stuff that I would love to do on the indies right now. So that's why I haven't really thought about it. I see some of my friends getting signed and do all this stuff, but I'm loving what I do right now. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to Mexico. I want to go to Canada. I want to go Europe. I want to go all these places. So that's all I want to do right now. Yes, that would be an end goal of mine, is one of those companies. But right now, I mean, if it happens, it happens. But if not, then...
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd imagine it's very it's an optimistic look right now with like the changes going on in the WWE for a lot of the indie talent right now, and like knowing that like the options really just opened up even more so than they already were. There's a lot of places to work currently, and AEW is always a big option, but now it's like if they're going to start focusing on independent talent again, that's huge. I think for a lot of people, yourself included.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think you're really a part of this next kind of generation of talent, and you wrestled a lot of them during the West Coast Cup, like wrestling, Nick Wayne, Masha Slamovich, and Starboy Charlie. I mean, what can you speak to kind of this next generation of, I mean, Nick Wayne, literal teenager, Starboy Charlie, maybe 18. We have people like, Marcus Mathers out there and Billy Starks. And I mean, and I know you're in like your mid 20s, a little bit older than the people we're talking about currently, but still one of the guys that I'm currently talking about when people ask me and say, who do I think is going to be really on the radar of these major companies? You're a name that comes up immediately right now for me. And how do you, I guess, kind of speaking to the next generation of talent and how good these people are getting at such a young age?
I honestly, I think it's for the best. Just like everyone, like, of course people hate it, like the older vets, like, oh, the business, blah, 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 blah. It's business changes. All business changes. It doesn't matter like what the business is, but it all changes. But being a part of this generation that, that have like the Nick Waynes, the Starboy Charlies, the Billy Starks, the Dante Martins, like the Lee Moriartys, the Danny Garcias, like it's amazing to be a part of that, to grow up with them. And like, those are all like, we're all friends and stuff like that. So to be a part of that is really, really, really cool. And it's very cool because we all have really different styles. So we all kind of share the rings, and like to be able to come like that together in the ring and still put on a great match, and it's amazing, like just to be a part of that, and especially have my name in that,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you rose the ranks just so quickly, like from 2018 to now. It's like, I mean, West Coast Pro, you and Fatu are the two guys I always think of immediately when I think of that promotion. So you're really killing it. And I love seeing that you've gotten out there, to some other places like BLP and Indiana and stuff like that. I just feel like the more that you're out there in different areas, the bigger your name's going to get. And it's just going to be one of those things where I feel like you have a really big couple years coming up personally.
Oh, thank you, man. I hope so.
We've mentioned your match against Ospreay, and a couple other names that jump out to me as far as kind of more top names, if you want to consider them, or respected veterans. Alex Shelley, Christopher Daniels, Speedball Mike Bailey. Like, is there a guy that when you stepped into the ring with this person, you're like, okay, like I'm here, I've arrived, and like I know I'm good at this shit?
No. I know it's kind of cliche to like always. People are like, oh, I don't like my wrestling. I generally don't like it. I always will I think that just stems back to my football days where I was playing quarterback, and I'm like, I can throw the ball for a 50-yard touchdown, but I looked the wrong way and it could have been easier or something like that, So I think it always just stems back from that. And I'm never really genuinely happy. Yes, I soak it in. Like the Ospreay match was probably the best match that I'll have, probably like, I don't know for how long, but I don't think I've have that moment yet. I've wrestled some great talents and had some great matches with guys like you said, like Ospreay, Christopher Daniels, Alex Shelley, Speedball Mike Bailey. Great matches, but I always will find something wrong, and it brings me down to earth real quick.
Oh man.
That's just being a perfectionist right there. It's just finding, even if it's the greatest match ever to other people, it's like, no, could have just done this step a little bit differently, and that's it. So I respect that mindset. I personally, being in the ring with those guys, I would just be like, all right, well, I'm here. Like I don't know if they've requested you, but obviously they got to have some type of respect for you to be like, yeah, this is the guy I want to wrestle. Because when they come into these shows, pretty sure they can like kind of call their own shots with this stuff.
Of course, definitely 1,000%.
I
mean, that has to make you feel a little bit good that it's like, okay, like, Alex Shelley is requesting to wrestle me for this indie spot that he's doing. Like that says something about me.
So the thing with Alex Shelley, and it was very cool because when I wrestled Shelley, I wrestled him 2 nights in a row, right? We did this West Coast Pro and Prestige combined show 2 nights in a row, where one was in the Bay, one was in Santa Cruz. I wrestled Shelley in a singles match on Friday and beat him for the Prestige belt, and then lost it the next night in a triple threat, which whatever, right? But just to even like have him be like, yeah, sure, I'm cool with that, like it was very, very, very just cool. Like I was like, damn, Really? He'll let me like do that? Like that was fucking dope. But I'm sorry, I didn't know if we.
You can say whatever
you
you
can
want.
curse.
It
You're
doesn't
cool.
matter.
Cool.
Doesn't matter at all.
Okay, cool.
A question I had for you about your in-ring style and your moveset, the Sweet Time Driver. Why did you choose the name and why did you choose the maneuver? And something else that I've noticed is I like that you try to come up with new kind of setups for it consistently, like to get into that move. So what was your kind of mindset in choosing the move and everything that goes into that, having that finish?
So I saw Cedric Alexander do it. And I love the way he does it like a real driver, you know. That's what the move is called, Michinoku Driver. And then finding different ways to come up with it. I really loved like watching people do the cutter in different ways, people doing the stunner in different ways. I think it's one of the moves that go along with that it can be hit from any position. Like you can pick them up and just as long as you can get them to your shoulder, you can hit it, right? If he's jumping at you, if they're jumping at you, whatever. So that was really the mindset of just finding different ways to get into it, counters and all that stuff. You mentioned the name Sweet Time Driver. So the name Sweet Time comes from football. My dad actually came up with the name because he was my coach growing up. And I used to take so long getting ready for practices and stuff because everybody, you know, it's 100 to 120 on the field. No one wants to go run and practice and get hit for, 3 hours in a row, straight. So I just take my time, and I used to get in trouble a lot. But he used to call me Sweet Time because I was taking my sweet ass time getting ready. So I was just like, whatever. And I was just like, and coming up with the name was just like, I didn't want to call it Alexander Driver or Titus Driver. It's just, too cliche. So I was like, let me just come up with, something that's completely different. And I just thought it's Sweet Time. I thought it was cool.
I dig it. It's funny because like my interpretation was like that you were being, it's funny because it kind of is where you're going with it, but I was thinking more of it as being like condescending, like this, like the guy you're giving it to is having a sweet time. Like you just drove into that sweet time.
Right.
Whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, see, there you go.
But I love the backstory of that though. Your dad always telling you you're taking your sweet ass time. And, like,
yeah.
I love that, man. I had no idea. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of an inside joke for me and my dad.
You mentioned Nick Wayne. How good did it feel to finally beat him after?
Oh man,
not really a series, but he got a lot of victories over you, and then finally at the Cup, you got him in the one-on-one match. You beat him.
Yeah. So me and Nick are very close, and he that was just funny to. I never even realized that until they said it. Going back to all our matches, I was like, "Damn, I really lost all those matches with them." Like, if it's scrambles, if it's one-on-ones or whatever it is, and I was like, "Damn, this is my first victory over Nick Wayne. Like, I should have made it like 10 times bigger." But yeah, I didn't notice it until after. But it was funny because now I just give him a little shit for it.
Finally, get the victory that you can hold over his head.
Still 3-1, but I got that one. That's what counts.
And look, the comeback is on. Best of 7. The comeback is on. So you'll meet him a few more times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm down.
Somebody should book that. That's how
That's
we
what
go.
I'm saying, man.
Yeah. There you go, West Coast Pro. We've given you the idea.
Hey,
to
best
the best of 7 against Nick.
There you go. So you got to wrestle Nick Wayne a few times. Who haven't you got to wrestle yet? Like, who's on your short list of like quote unquote dream opponents right now?
Oh yeah, Jay Lethal for sure. He's a big inspiration of mine. I just loved all his stuff in Impact. One of my favorite promos is when he's doing it with Ric Flair, doing an impression of Ric Flair. Lee Moriarty, Daniel Garcia. I did like a 5-minute like gauntlet match with Daniel Garcia at West Coast Pro. So that I would really want to go a little bit longer. Let's see who else. Bandito's a really high up there. Jeff Cobb, Timothy Thatcher, just because I've known them for a while. Let's see, Davey's on there, but I'm getting to work him on Saturday, which is very cool for me. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll be feeling very sore the next day, but a lot of people don't. I don't know if a lot of people don't know him, but I'm working this guy in a triple threat who's His name is G Sharp, Gregory Sharp, out in Vegas. And I've been wanting to wrestle him for a while. And I finally get the chance at Toko's kickback on Friday. So I'm very excited for that.
Awesome. Yeah, you mentioned Danny Garcia. You mentioned a lot of former PWG champions. I'd love to see you and Garcia for that PWG title, man. That'd be badass.
That'd be sick. That'd be sick, man.
Yeah. And then what was I was gonna I had another question for you and I just lost it. Jeremy, go ahead.
PWG, you wrestled Shane Haste at PWG, and they're obviously big on the West Coast. Any plans? Have you talked to PWG about returning there? I don't know when their next event is. I don't think they've announced it, but when PWG does return, do you know if you're factored into that?
I hope so. Well, the last time I was there, last night first, but it was just on. I was a replacement for Armis. He couldn't make it, so but it seemed like I did good. I hope I hope PWG really liked what I did. So I hope to be back. PWG has always been on the list of mine to work. I watched them, even that time that I wasn't in wrestling between 2007 and 2000 whatever. I was watching them and their highlights and stuff like that. It has always been a dream of mine to get there, and I did. And I love to come back to work, whoever it is that they would want me to work. But yeah, it was an awesome experience. So I hope to be back.
And I remember I was going to ask you because you mentioned Davey's coming up this weekend. Doing anything different to prepare for Davey Richards, given his reputation in ring style?
Cardio, a lot of cardio. That man can go, and he's been wrestling for a while, like a long time. So, and he could still go like that. And I can't really match the way that he wrestles because he does a lot of strikes and stuff like that. And I'm not going to have someone kick me 50 times in a row, but just a lot of cardio, man, trying to, hit that core so I can take those kicks as long as I can. And then hopefully hold on.
Any advice you've gotten from one of these veterans like Ospreay or Alex Shelley, or even if you haven't shared the ring with them, but you've been backstage with them, anybody giving you like a good piece of advice that just really stuck with you?
Yeah, I forgot who it was, but a couple of people have said it. Older vets have been just, your face sells, like everything. Like your face tells a story. Your face tells emotion. So remember, always sell with your face up, and just keep that in mind, because when fans are watching you do your art, and if you're looking straight down, they don't know what you're feeling. So especially like if you take a punch, everyone's been punched in the face, or have seen somebody get punched in the face. So to express that and have people get behind you, that's why I say Ricky Steamboat. Because he really got the people behind you. Like every chop he took from, Ric Flair, you were like, oh, ow, I felt that, through the TV, so stuff like that has just been with me since I started.
Go ahead, Jensen.
Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm good.
Oh, any plans to, you're big on the West Coast legend, as I said, any plans to travel, make your way east a little bit more, whether it be end of this year or into 2023?
Yeah, I actually just came back from East Coast. I was there at Garden State.
Sure.
Tankman, right? Calvin Tankman.
That was last month. I just wrestled Brian Keith in the semifinals. Unfortunately, I lost. And then I did a triple threat with Michael Oku and Matt Seidel. Very, very cool to share the ring with those guys. I would love to go to the East Coast more. That'd be very cool. I love it out there. The travel for me is rough because I hate sitting on a plane, but I don't mind it if I'm going to go out there and do what I love.
I hate planes too, for what it's worth. It's the worst.
Yeah. For me, it's the time change because I'm not used to it.
Right.
I've only been out there twice, so
that 3-hour difference.
Yeah, like I see my flight info, and it's like I land at like 10. I take off at 8 from here, and I'm like, oh, 2-hour flight, and I'm on the plane for 5 hours. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. But I was like, oh wait, the time change. I'm whatever. But yeah,
I know you said that you don't know if you'll have a better match against, and then what you had with Will Ospreay recently, which was just, fantastic stuff. But as a fan of pro wrestling, what would you consider to be your favorite, or maybe some of your favorite matches as a fan?
My favorite match would probably be at WrestleMania 3. It was Savage and Steamboat. That match is just, every time I watch it, man, I just get so just, oh damn, just get me every time. I've seen it like 50 times. That one really is one of my favorite matches. And let's see. That's a tough question.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's a great answer, though. I mean, that's one of the best matches ever. And because still completely holds up even by today's standards, which is nuts. Yeah.
Right.
WrestleMania is in Los Angeles this upcoming year. Obviously, WrestleMania weekend, biggest weekend of the year. There's about 3 million indie shows that are going on that weekend. And I know it's early, but any early plans of where you might want to perform, that might be anywhere and everywhere, but who you might want to face. I know you mentioned some names, but any early WrestleMania plans where you're like, I got to be part of this event. I got to try to get a match with this person.
Not really. I just would love to work any show that is down there. That I know they do, like the Collective, if it's like SummerSlam or WrestleMania weekend. So honestly, just to be on the shows down there would be very cool. I love, especially in LA, I don't have to fly anywhere. I just drive. It's not a bad drive, and I get to hang out with my friends and see very dope wrestling. I've actually never been to a WrestleMania, so I kind of want to go next year just to see. So
I would be shocked. I would be shocked if you're not booked on multiple independent shows, and if you're not, these promoters are doing something wrong. They should give me my own show, and I'll book you, and we'll make sure you get booked.
Yeah, fight for it, man. Fight for on the Collective, man. That'd be dope.
Yeah, there we go.
Ooh,
main event, Jeremy versus Denise.
I would kick Denise in her big head, and that would be that.
No.
I actually won't fight Denise. We're Taylor Swift best friends.
Yeah.
We were talking off air, and I was mentioning Sean, and you're like, oh yeah, Denise, she does some stuff out here.
That's right.
And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get you to bury Denise on the show. So say something bad about Denise Salcedo, who's the worst person in the world.
Oh, I never.
Oh man, no,
Denise is the best. I will fight her though. For the right money, I'll fight Denise Salcedo. That's fine.
Oh man. Well, we have a segment on the show, Titus.
Yeah.
We ask everybody this. It's a really important question. It might be the most important question we ask you the entire interview here. And we like to use it as one of our wrap-up questions. What is the most cool thing in the room that you're in right now?
The most cool thing in my room. Oh, that is a good question. Cool thing. I don't know. I don't have cool things in my room. I'm not a cool person. Probably this Bronco hat or this helmet that my grandpa made me.
Can you show it?
Dusty. Yeah, it's a little dusty though, so
Okay.
don't get mad at me.
No, all good.
Let's see.
Okay, we might have heat. I might face you at this event that I'm going to book. Okay,
Very cool.
That
like
is
it.
sweet. Are you a Broncos fan?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, we've got heat because I'm a Panthers fan, and the worst loss. You know where I'm going? Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
The worst loss I've experienced football-wise in my life was that Super Bowl. Of course, I had nothing to do with it, but I was happy for Peyton Manning. I'm a lifelong Peyton Manning fan. I was very happy for him, but as a Panthers fan, I was rooting for my team.
Of course, I totally understand that. But
I'll find a partner, me and somebody against you and Denise at the Fightful show for WrestleMania weekend. That's the main event.
Okay.
I'll find someone.
I'm down. Let's go.
Good luck to your Broncos, by the way, with Russell Wilson this season. That's got to be exciting heading into this year.
Very exciting. It is. I wish we gave Drew Lock a little bit more time, but hey, I mean, when you get a legend like Russell Wilson, then you can't be, too mad at it.
No. Yeah, I think you guys are going to be fine.
I hope so. A rough couple years lately. So.
You got the Super Bowl though. Yeah. Okay. Well, now I have another question. Are you a sports fan other than just football?
Yeah. I love watching like UFC and boxing and rugby because I played it for a couple years and those. I'm starting to get into soccer. I just never grew up on it, so like I could never watch people run for 3 hours or whatever how long they play. So, but I'm starting to get into that. Baseball is hit and miss. I have to go to a game. Like I can't, watch it on TV. It's the most boring thing. Yeah, I know I'll probably get heat for that, but
yeah, I agree with you.
No, yeah,
I cannot watch it on TV.
And then are you still like, or do you support the Denver teams, the local Colorado Denver teams?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. So it's just Broncos. No. Okay.
Just the Broncos because it's funny because I was actually growing up an Oakland Raider fan and they're in the same division.
Right.
But Tim Tebow went there and who was one of my favorites from when he was in high school. So he went there and got drafted. And then shortly after that we got Peyton Manning. So I was like, how can I not be still a Denver Bronco fan? And then I just carry it over still.
Who's your favorite UFC fighter
of all time?
Go all time and current.
And then current. Okay. All time, probably GSP.
Okay. Love that answer.
He's such a badass. Current, probably Sugar Sean. Adesanya. Adesanya. Okay. Yeah, Adesanya is very, very, very good.
Hey, Sugar Sean, he's got that big fight with Piotr Jan coming up. If he wins that, he might be getting a title shot. So Sugar Show is about to we're about to find out if he's for real here in a second. Yeah. So
honestly, it's kind of crazy that he hasn't got a title fight yet. But whatever. I think he's only lost one fight and it was on accident. He broke his foot.
He lost to Cheeto Vera. Yeah, who also himself is like basically number one contender level too. Like it wasn't like he just lost to some nobody. He lost to a guy who's and that's a really sellable rematch at some point in the future too. And for what it's worth, I think GSP is the best pound for pound fighter in UFC history. So I think that's a great answer. So who's your? Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Titus.
That card that is coming up with Sugar Sean on it. That's an amazing card. There's so many title fights on it. It's insane.
Yeah, was that UFC 280?
That's Nate, right? Diaz.
No, that's the Nate one's coming up this weekend. The Sugar Sean one is 280.
It's October, October something.
Yeah, October.
That one's in Abu Dhabi. So it's Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev for the lightweight. Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw for the bantamweight title, and also pretty much number one contender between Jan and Sugar Sean for that same division at bantamweight. I mean, that's going to be a stacked card.
Yeah, it's insane. But what the date on that is? Because
it's October 22nd, and I don't know if it'll be one of the 10 p.m. pay-per-views or because it's in Abu Dhabi, if it'll be like a midday type thing again. Sometimes it's like an afternoon show. So
got it. I'm gonna take no bookings that day.
No, I was about to say you might be booked. That's the only thing that ever foils it. Sometimes I'll go out to an indie show as a fan, and I'll be keeping one eye on the UFC results, as I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Titus gonna be backstage. Like, no, can't go to the match yet. I gotta watch the Sean O'Malley fight.
Dude, hold on. Get out of here.
Tell those guys to go a little bit longer. Give them a little bit extra time. I knew Nate was fighting next, and when you guys said the next event, I knew Nate was fighting next. My favorite of all time is Liddell and Anderson. Big Chuck. Fans. I do agree with you guys that GSP is actually the best of all time. As much as I love Anderson, I think GSP beat stronger competition during this run.
And he's just so well-rounded, everywhere. So
it's pretty wild. It looks like Jake Paul's about to box Anderson Silva from what it looks like.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah.
And I'm oh my god.
I'm strangely excited for that fight because I think Anderson. That's an actual fight for Jake.
Yeah.
That's an actual
fight.
I hope so. I mean, I give Jake Paul the respect that he does put in the work, but I mean, I just want to see him get knocked out. That's the one thing that I just want to. No hate towards the guy. I just want to see it. The last fights that he's had, I'm just okay, whatever.
Because this is definitely a big difference considering Ben Askren doesn't really have the hands. Tyron Woodley is really on a big decline. Anderson at least has been boxing. One of those was kind of a joke fight with Tito Ortiz, but he beat Chavez Jr. Straight up. and he was a former champion.
Right.
I mean, it's like, so at least this is like, yes, it's an MMA fighter, but at least it's an MMA fighter who is doing pro boxing right now. So at least he's fighting a pro boxer, not just like an MMA guy with a 0-0 record this time.
Yeah.
So
and
I do think Anderson should probably watch him. Anderson's probably gonna destroy him, I would imagine.
I sure hope so, man. I sure hope so.
It's gonna be very sad for us longtime MMA fans if Anderson Silva gets by Jake Paul.
Yeah, because if Jake Paul wins, it's like, oh, now you get to go fight KSI, who's another YouTuber. I mean, all respect to KSI, I love KSI, but like, it's just another YouTuber. Like, go to an actual fighter if you're gonna say you're the best, boxer or whatever. But whatever, man.
Yeah. Shout out KSI. KSI won 2 fights this weekend. I mean, they were against complete jabronis, but he saved the show by doing those fights. So good for him. So
I didn't even know that he fought twice until I watched the highlights. Again, I was busy wrestling in New Jersey, but like I saw the highlights and he was the first fight, and I was like, oh wow, that's surprising. And then I saw later, and he fought like the Slim or whatever, or whoever it was, and I was like, oh damn, he fought twice. I was like, that's kind of badass to be to do that. But yeah, I had no idea who those guys were.
Yeah,
nobody did.
Shout out Deji though. He beat the hell.
He looked pretty good too. His hands were pretty decent.
Dude, he came out swinging, and like, I don't know if he did all the stuff that he did, like, or said he did, like broke his nose and stuff, but that was pretty badass. I was rooting for Deji.
Yeah, that was his first win, I think, too. Like he had lost before that, so yeah. I love following like the YouTuber, influencer, TikTok boxing world. It's just bizarre. Like it's just fun. Like as long as you watch it with like the right lenses of like what it is and you have the right expectations, it can be fun. I love that. There was a guy, Salt Poppy, who really impressed me. He
knocked the plug out of that guy. And I was like, oh!
And then he like moonwalked on him.
Yeah, I was like, damn, dude, what the hell?
That's a guy we got to get on this show. Yeah, we had I don't know if you're familiar with Dad, who did the creator class show that iDubbbz put on a few months ago.
Yeah, he came out with like Morrison or something.
With Morrison,
right. Yeah, I know who he is.
We had him on the show not long after that, and he was a blast. Like I love these guys
awesome.
who are willing to like put in that work in the boxing world, because I mean, you gotta respect them for putting that work in, like you said, of course. But then just watching it for what it is, like I love that you even know about this, because usually I don't even get to talk about this kind of stuff on air, because people usually don't care. But people get to hear about YouTuber influencer boxing right now. From
Dude, it's popping. It's fucking popping. Like from the first time they ever did it, I was just like, that's kind of interesting, because you see these guys doing like pranks. And then you're like, they're vlogging, and you're like, dude, you're a vlogger. Why are you going in to kind of fight this guy? I was like, whatever. And then it got views, and it blew up. And then of course, the two biggest ones were Logan Paul and KSI, who had 2 fights that were pretty good. But yeah, I love it. I love watching it.
Those fights sold out like stadiums, like arenas, which is insane to me.
20,000,
It's like, I'd never heard of these guys until they did this boxing match. But everybody, this was a few years ago, but like everybody's talking about this boxing match. It's like, all right, I'm gonna watch. Like, it seems like it's a big deal. It's in this packed arena. I was like, sure. Yeah. If this fight it's become, and I love these kind of freak fights. I think these guys are training and everything, but these type of fights, they sell. Like at the end of the day, they sell.
It's the craziest thing, and I mean, whoever came up with the idea is very smart, because you get these kids or people that aren't into regular fighting or boxing or in that matter, they get to go say, hey, I watched Jake Paul, and now he's gonna go punch somebody in the face. Like that's pretty cool. And then they get to see all these other fighters throughout the card, and because sometimes they have real fighters on there, I think. But like it's very smart. And then you get to see boxing fans like, oh, that's an embarrassment, but it's on, and they watch it and they're like, damn, they're actually not that bad, and then they become fans of them, so they keep buying it. It's very smart.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when it's like the YouTube world can be very fickle, because it's all based on how many views you're getting. So like,
exactly,
if you're on the decline and your fan base is kind of starting to bail on you, a lot of them don't have like a lot of substance beyond like the videos they make. So if they can like take that energy and like turn it into having some sort of a boxing career, like it's it seems to be a pretty good second life for it. Because I mean, Logan Paul, he's super famous, but like, who knows what his like YouTube career looks like in like today's landscape. We know he's like way big now he's a WWE superstar, for heaven's sake. I mean, it's unreal. But yeah, no, I love that you pay attention to that world. We'll definitely have to have you on sometime again and talk about these upcoming fights. Yeah,
definitely.
Hell yeah! Get you on before the big UFC card. Just break
down
I'm
UFC
down. Stuff
I'm down.
And catch up on wrestling, and then we'll do the big promo before WrestleMania weekend with my mystery partner against you, Denise Salcedo. If you're on the West Coast, you can check out Titus in action this Saturday, September 3rd. West Coast Pro Prestige Wrestling Savage Mode 2. He's taking on Davey Richards. Believe that'll be available on Fights at some point. I
maybe
could be wrong
IWTV. I'm not sure.
IWTV. Okay, apologies.
Usually West Coast is usually IWTV.
My fault.
My fault. But yes, you can watch it online. So IWTV, go there. Titus, let everyone know where else they can find you
at. Social media is on Twitter. It's Real Titus 115. Instagram is Titus Alexander 115, I believe. Maybe an underscore in there somewhere. But yeah, just follow me and hit me up, and I post all my matches. So thank you guys for the support, all the fans, and then of course you guys. I love being on the show. Thank you guys.
Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. I was very excited to get you on after learning more about you throughout this year. So again, thank you. We appreciate you doing this. Everyone, check out Titus Alexander. Again, it's at Real Titus 115 on Twitter. Good luck against Davey Richards this weekend. I hope the cardio is good to be in there with him.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, thank you. We'll be right back here on the. We're back. I'm still Jeremy Lambert. Big thank you to Titus Alexander for joining us. Everyone, go check out his work that he's going to do at West Coast Pro Wrestling this weekend against Davey Richards. Go check that show out on IWTV. Guys, we will be back next week with a new episode. Plenty of fallout, I'm sure, from Clash of the Castle and All Out to talk about whatever else is happening in the crazy, crazy world of professional wrestling. Braun Strowman's back. Bobby Fish is gone. A lot of stuff going on. Everyone go to Fightful.com. Check out all the stories we've got over there. Everyone go to FightfulSelect.com. Subscribe. Sean's always breaking news over there. Go to FightfulOverbooked.com with a bunch of new videos that we've got up there. Just posted the latest episode of the series, looking back at CM Punk's match against MJF, the dog collar match, as CM Punk tries to avenge his loss from Dynamite that happened against MJF. So the series, the last episode of this particular one will be up next week. CM Punk against Hangman Page. We'll wrap everything up with that particular series, and then we'll start a new series. So go to FightfulOverbooked.com. Go to twitch.tv/FightfulGaming. I'm back streaming some games. Maybe going to stream tomorrow. We'll figure it out. We'll see. It's a busy weekend, extremely busy weekend this week. Go to shop.aew.com or whatever their shop is and buy the Bryan Danielson t-shirt that I don't get a cut of. Guys, we'll talk to y'all next week. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you guys